Mark Grandy and Sterling Bennett are here for instant reaction.
Stuff it. Come on.
We'll take you into the locker room and hear from the players and Kyle Shanahan.
I thought Brock did a good job. He has a chance to win.
And of course, we want to hear from you, the faithful. Overtime starts now.
Wow, what a win. Final score in Seattle, Niners 17, Seahawks 13. That was a thrilling game. Woo! And it ends with the Niner win. Welcome to Overtime Week 1 edition. I'm Mark Grandy. That's Sterling Bennett. Sterling, I was getting ready to rip my hair out here on Overtime, but it turns out it's a Niners win. I don't really know how the hell they pulled that off, but that's what Overtime is for. We're going to talk it all out. Sterling, great to have you and me back here for another season of Overtime. What a freaking game to kick off this season.
On the edge of my seat, the second half, the Jake Moody missed field goal, the Jake Moody blocked field goal, the Brock Purdy heroic throw to Ricky Pearsall on the sideline to find Jake Tunges in the back of the end zone, mossing Reek Woolen. Oh, what a game, folks. It's 2025. It might be torture. It might be painful. But right now, your San Francisco 49ers are 1-0, and they beat the Seattle Seahawks and escape Lumen Field with the victory. Let's go, faithful! Woo!
Wow, I have no idea what we just watched, Sterling. You laid out like a handful of the important plays. There's a lot of exciting moments. There's also a lot of like, what the hell is going on here? The Brock Purdy interceptions, specifically the second one, it's what the hell are you doing, Brock? He threw it to quadruple coverage, believe it or not. Ricky Pearsall, he's like, hell, Ricky's down there somewhere, but there's also 4 Seahawks down there, an easy interception. The Niners struggle in the red zone. Their special team betrays them again. I mean, the majority of this game, Sterling, it felt like 2024. It felt like last year. You replace the special teams coordinator, you replace the long snapper, you replace the holder, you replace the punter, you don't replace the kicker, and it sounds like you have all the same problems, but somehow they found a way to win. You lose George Kittle with the hamstring. He misses the entire second half of this game. You had Pooney, who missed a snap or two. Trent Williams was limping at times. Fred Warner left the game early. Those guys all came back. Kittle never came back. Jawan left with a shoulder. He never came back in the second half either. But you found a way to win, and you improved to 1-0, and you beat a division opponent. We can worry about all the things that went wrong, and we're certainly going to worry about the George Kittle injury, Sterling. But a win is a win is a win, and the Niners had few of those to celebrate last year. Good to get the win to begin, no doubt.
There was so many reasons to be upset, to be angry, to think, oh, here we go again. It's just like last year. The offense can't score in the red zone, like you already said. The offensive line can't block on the ground or through the air. It looks like 2024. This is a disaster. You can't beat the Seahawks on the road when the opposing offense can't put up more than 13 points. Here we go again, right? But for the San Francisco 49ers, 2 key differences. One of them, how about a healthy Christian McCaffrey? Escaping the game, being healthy, still hopefully, fingers crossed. He was tremendous today. There was a point in time where Shanahan said, screw it, we're going CMC over and over and over and over and over again. And I was scared then of like, Kyle, we're getting overzealous. This is going to go wrong for us. But then the other difference, how about Robert Salah? Forget Nick Sorensen. Get that bum out of here. Robert Salah.
Absolutely.
That defensive coaching, tremendous job to hold that Seahawks defense that could have scored more than 25 points in this game. What a great job getting takeaways, getting turnovers, Bosa with the forced fumble at the end. And my goodness, this defense kept this offense with a $53 million quarterback at the helm alive to hopefully escape with the win. And they did. I'm out of breath. I'm so excited. My goodness, Mark. What a crazy, terrible, great way to begin the 2025 season.
The Niners, if you just look at certain box score statistical areas, it felt like the Niners dominated this game. They had 24 first downs to 14 for Seattle. Niners outgained the Seahawks 384 to 227. Sam Darnold only threw for 150 yards. They didn't really get a ton going on the ground. Charbonnet was pretty effective on the ground, but Kenneth Walker had nothing all game long, and they actually kind of turned to Charbonnet as their lead back, believe it or not, which surprised a lot of people. And if you're a Kenneth Walker fantasy owner, apologies to you, because that looks like a really scary player to have right now. But yeah, the Niners dominated big stretches of this game in most categories other than the scoreboard. Turnovers hurt them, although they forced 2 big ones in the second half that helped them win this game, including the one that you mentioned, Nick Bosa forcing the pressure on Sam Darnold, who actually then kind of rubbed the ball up against the back of his tackle, Abraham Lucas. That's what jarred the ball loose and resulted in the fumble that the Niners recovered and then used to win the game on. There was also the big fumble forced by Sam Okawanu on a Jackson Smith and Jigba, a short catch on the left side, and that kind of turned this game around a little bit. But we have to shout out Jake Tonjes, Sterling. This is a guy who didn't have a catch in his NFL career, in his entire NFL career. No catches. And then on the most important drive that he's ever played in his life, he catches 3 passes on a stretch of 5 plays, including a jump ball. Brock, I don't know what the hell you're doing. I'm going to trust my guy who's never caught a touchdown in his career, and somehow Jake Tonjes comes down with it, gets the touchdown, his first career touchdown, his 3rd career catch, all that came on that drive. I mean, Jake Tonjes, Sterling, if you would have told me that this game would have been decided on a Jake Tonjes Moss touchdown in the end zone, I would have called you crazy and probably punched you in the face, because that's how absurd that is.
Well, don't forget, on that exact play, the touchdown catch by Tonjes, Trent Williams gets bull rushed into Brock Purdy. Could have very well been a sack that we're all sitting there like, oh, here comes Jake Moody again. Oh my God, a 4th time today. Could go wrong for San Francisco. Brock stays up on his feet, evades some pressure, and like you said, it was a Hail Mary. It was 17 Hail Marys. It was a billion Hail Marys. It was like, oh my God, somebody come down with the football, please, because that very easily could have been Brock Purdy's 3rd interception of this game. But Brock, trusting his guys out there, his 3rd tight end, the guy you never expect to make the play, next man up, Mark. If it's got to be this hard, but it leads to wins, sign me up. Any given Sunday, this team knows wins are going to be hard to come by. That's why every little mistake you make matters. Every interception, every fumble, every missed field goal, every little thing you do wrong matters. That needle is going to have to be threaded every single Sunday, and San Francisco escaped. But look at this. They get a win in Seattle, 1-0 against the NFC West. Right now, stay at the top of the NFC West alongside the Arizona Cardinals, who beat the opponent you play next week. I know, look, it's next week, Mark, but my goodness, I'm feeling pretty good right now. I may need to go take some medication to calm myself down because I am overjoyed, Mark. I am just thrilled with how San Francisco pulled out today with the win. Great game, terrible game in the same breath too. But sometimes you have to and pray and hope the football gods have your back because San Francisco escaped. But sometimes that's all it takes to win in the National Football League.
Yeah. Are you in good hands?
I'm not.
By the way, you're talking about the NFC West. You mentioned Arizona, who won. The Rams in a battle right now with the Texans down in L.A. I believe the Rams, up by 5, final 2 minutes, they just forced a turnover of C.J. Stroud and the Texans. They were driving, and yeah, forced fumble, actually very similar to what happened with the Niners down the stretch against the Seahawks. So the Rams will gain possession back, 1:43 left in the fourth quarter. Texans have all 3 timeouts, but the Rams up by 5 with the ball under 2 to go. We'll let you know when that game does go final. If the Rams do hold on, it will be Niners, Cardinals, Rams, all 1-0, and then the Seahawks at 0-1 in the NFC West. But we'll let you know officially when that game does end down in L.A. But Sterling, you said it off the top. I mean, this Niner defense today, they get the game ball. They were absolutely amazing. And I don't know exactly how you felt this season would go, Sterling. I think you and I are both confident that this is a team that can win this division, and 10, 11 wins feels somewhat realistic. But this is a defense that I expected to not be able to put on this kind of performance this early in the season. And it, of course, you had, moments of greatness from Nick Bosa, who doesn't have a sack, but what was very good in this game in the big moments. You had Fred Warner, who left the game with some kind of face or nose laceration or injury, and he comes back in and is everywhere. But the greatness that we saw throughout the game from D. Winters, who looks like the next coming of Dre Greenlaw, what we saw from Renardo Green on a big pass breakup against Jackson Smith and Jigba, and a guy like Upton Stout, who got beat, frankly, often by JSN throughout this game. Yeah. What he did on that final drive to force an incompletion to JSN was really big as well. Marquise Siegel came up with a big play, a fumble recovery on that Sam Okawanu forced fumble. This was a defensive performance from across the board, and while there were some guys that got picked on, that's going to happen when you have a young DB or two out there going up against an elite receiver like Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's going to happen, but all in all, for this defense to only allow 13 points in Seattle in the first game they've ever played together, Sterling, I was incredibly impressed. Those guys deserve a ton of credit, but as you mentioned, so does Robert Salah. This feels like a defense that's going to be better than I expected it was, at least early in the season.
The ability to generate pressure and takeaways and turnovers was something this defense last year couldn't do. To have a coach that put the guys in the right spot, to have a defense that was clutch, where if the offense is struggling like it was today, can you change momentum? Can you have that shift and steal it back in the opposition's home field? And this defense today, for as young as they may be, for as unproven as they may be, young guys stepping up, Sam Okawanu, Marquise Siegel, even on that last drive, albeit it wasn't a massive play, Upton Stout got a big PB, which would have put Seattle in a good spot earlier in that drive, which if they have a minute and a half left, who knows how that goes. So I know it's the first game of the season. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but to hold an opposing offense to 13 points in their own place and have it be the Seattle Seahawks, that's a big deal for an unproven defense. That's a big deal for young defensive backs and young linebackers. Steve Winters was phenomenal today. Phenomenal today. That defensive line, I mean, I thought Bryce Huff, I was like, oh my goodness, D4 2.0 is offsides. This is the game, Mark. No! And they found a way. Bosa comes up clutch where it's like, if your young guys can just get you to the brink, and your stars can save you. That's what this team is going to have to be. And this defense today got them to the brink, and their stars saved them. Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Bosa, all four of those guys on those last two drives by the San Francisco 49ers on offense and defense came up insanely big, and it helped them escape with that win today. This team, again, it's going to be tough to win week in and week out. It's going to be small mistakes they make that cost them and some big hopeful plays that help them win some games. But San Francisco, for all it matters, they walk away with the win. They can hold their head up high and say, look, we have things to work on. Maybe a kicker to release as soon as in 5 minutes, hopefully.
God.
And then we can figure out the Saints next Sunday. Heck of a win, heck of a game. I know Giants torture, 2010 is the motto they use. If this becomes Niners torture, it makes a lot of sense because, my goodness, Mark, every snap on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, this was torturous. There's no doubt. Although, Giants torture led to the 2010 World Series and then 2012 and then 2014.
That would help.
So I can live with the torturous nature of these games if they result in wins. But what made last year so painful, Sterling, was you had this torturous kind of game where it felt like the Niners outplayed their opponents for majority of games. Not for an entire game, and definitely not in the big moments. And there are certain areas that they struggled in, such as the turnover battle and the red zone. And those are two of the biggest, most important areas. But the Niners would consistently outgain or be very close to their opponents in terms of yards gained and average gain per play in all of those numbers, yet they consistently found ways to lose in the clutch moments. So what makes this so refreshing is largely the game felt a lot like last year. Just you found a way to win a close football game. And there were so many games last year, Sterling, where if a play, 2 plays, 3 plays go differently, instead of winning 6 games, you could legitimately have won 10 and maybe been a playoff team. Like, it was not that far away last year, as ugly as it was, especially down the stretch of the season. And it was ugly again, but they found a way to win. And hey, maybe you think it was a lucky way. I mean, that Brock Purdy to Jake Tonja's touchdown, it was pretty damn lucky, but you just found a way to win. And as you said, you take the win, you put it in your back pocket, a road division win versus a foe that has a legitimate claim to potentially winning this division, and you move on, you lick your wounds, and you get ready for week 2 against what you feel like should be an easier opponent in the New Orleans Saints. So there's plenty to be frustrated by, Sterling, and there is so much to work on, and I can't wait to hear from Kyle Shanahan. We will do that later on here on Overtime, but bottom line is they got to freaking win. You're 1-0. Doesn't matter how it happened. You got the win, and you put it in that W column and you move on.
Sometimes the biggest takeaway from games is what the old school used to say. A win's a win. Doesn't matter how you get there. It doesn't matter how many interceptions you throw. Obviously, you want to throw a 0, but a win's a win. It's so hard to win in the National Football League. You see great teams lose weird, odd games. They're supposed to just walk all over somebody. The Bengals almost lost today to the Browns, and the Browns are terrible.
They should have lost.
The Lions,
they got dominated in that game, yet they found a way to win somehow.
Exactly, and the Lions say, last time I checked, we're down against Green Bay, and the Lions are supposed to be a darn good team, albeit they have some coaching staff maneuvers that happen. But
27-13 the final, Green Bay over Detroit.
Exactly. Yeah. Great teams, and look, the Packers are going to be good this year, but the Niners and Seahawks, this may be the two teams vying for the division late, and albeit they play again Week 18, which may make that Nike rivalry jersey game actually matter after all. We have 17 weeks to get there, but it's so hard to win in the National Football League, and last year's team didn't have grit. Last year's team couldn't finish games. Last year's team, when things were going wrong and Jake Moody was missing field goals and the defense wasn't stopping opposing offenses and the offense wasn't putting the ball in the red zone or in the end zone once they got to the red zone, they couldn't finish. They couldn't get over the hump. This team, to me today, for it being week 1, for there being a lot of bumps and bruises and things to learn and hopefully get over and get better from, this team today showed grit. That in the brink of the storm, in the brink of the tornado, Seattle, 1 drive to go. Can you overcome a defense that you've overwhelmingly today did pretty good against but couldn't finish off drives? They finished off a drive when it mattered most. Those things are the difference in wins and losses in the National Football League, and you want to do things better to help it make it easier for you, not have to do those final drives, heroics, but a win's a win, 1-0. That's all that matters for this young Niners team.
Yes, absolutely. It's overtime here on 95.7 The Game. I'm Mark Randy. That's Sterling Bennett reacting to a crazy Niner win, 17-13 over the Seahawks, Week 1 in Seattle. 888-957-9570. Who you want to shout out? 888-957-9570. There's so many people to shout out. The 707 weighing in, a number of 707s weighing in on the text line right now. Also, the 510, the 415, the 408, the 650 as well. Keep them coming on the text line. We also have the YouTube chat up, youtube.com/957 The Game. Everything we do on YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Curry, I see you. Jason, I see you. Little Miss Trouble, I see you. Middle Ground, Stubbs, Mick, Lori, No, Charles, Sear, and a bunch of others. George, I'm sorry if I miss you. Appreciate the chats coming in on the YouTube chat. Weigh in there as well. Who you want to shout out? One name, Sterling, that I don't know if we have brought up yet. It's Ricky Pearsall. The second-year wide receiver, Ricky Pearsall, only 4 catches, but 108 yards, including the second biggest catch of the game because the Jake Tonjes touchdown was the biggest. A Ricky Pearsall bomb down the left sideline for 40 yards on the final drive. Brock Purdy, you could tell, feels pretty comfortable targeting Ricky Pearsall to the point that he threw to him in quadruple coverage earlier in the second half, but found Pearsall in a big moment. And it was interesting to see, Sterling. You never want to see George Kittle go down with an injury, but once George goes down, who is going to be Brock Purdy's preferred target? And if you just take away all the McCaffrey dump-offs into the flat or the quick throws over the middle part of the field, it was Ricky Pearsall, the guy that he targeted more often than anybody else. And it seems like that connection is off to a really good start, and good to see Ricky Pearsall get through a full game healthy and have a big moment like he did on that final drive.
When it's not just he got through it healthy, it's the fact is you didn't have George Kittle, you didn't have Juwan Jennings. Pearsall walked into the year already being your de facto number 1 wide receiver, and to lose your other 2 really great and impactful wide receiving threats, it was Pearsall and McCaffrey that had to carry San Francisco through the air outside of Tonjes' last 2 catches to help them win. And for a young player to overcome that defense in Seattle, who I know the Seahawks defense isn't going to be top 10, at least not in my mind, but to really cook Reek Woolen a couple of times in this game, to get over the top against him twice, which you can tell late in this game, Purdy felt the pressure. Purdy felt the lights are a little bright for me right now. I don't have my offense. It feels like last year. And he was saying, I have to make that one play to get us over the hump. I have to make that one deep throw to get that big home run, get us inside the 20 and set us up for victory. And for Pearsall and even Kyle Shanahan drawing up that play and Purdy saying, you know what? I already made a mistake earlier in this game. Made 2 of them. In the last drive, a terrible interception that made no sense to throw. Terrible decision. And say, you know what? I got to do it again. Caution to the wind. We have to make a big play here. It takes guts, but it takes guts to reach glory in the NFL. So for Purdy, great job hitting Pearsall, and Pearsall, great job getting open on that play and really opening things up for the offense downfield, in which this offense doesn't have deep threats. If Pearsall can be that for this team, which Pearsall runs like a 4.344, he isn't the fastest guy in the books. Yeah. If you can be a deep threat and open up the offense and clear out things for Kittle when he hopefully comes back soon, and Jennings once he comes back too, that is a threat this offense has not had in a long time. So Pearsall was awesome. That second-year jump clearly on display today against the Seahawks.
Yeah, he was big. Only 4 catches, but he's a big play waiting to happen. You mentioned he's not a burner, but he just finds his way into those open spaces, and he has catch-and-run potential. Not that he's going to break a ton of tackles, but he is quick, and he is pretty elusive and slippery, and he can, turn a 20-yard catch into a 35-yard gain if you hit him in stride, and Purdy, for the most part, did a pretty good job of that. And Purdy overall, Sterling, it was nowhere near his best game. He was effective and efficient on the first drive of the game. The Niners went down the field, 14 plays, 95 yards, 8.5 minutes off the clock. Their first drive, he was 6 for 7 on that drive, and the Niners were 3 for 3 on third down. Purdy was good there. For the rest of the game, the majority of the game, he was pedestrian to below average, 2 interceptions. Bad. The second one was just absolutely terrible. But he made the plays that he had to on the final drive, and the Niners ultimately get out of Seattle with the win 17-13. 888-957-9570. It's overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy and Sterling Bennett with you. Let's kick it off on the phone lines with Mike, who's on the road. Mike, what's up? You're on overtime. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I was just calling first off to ask, does anyone know how bad George Kittle's injury is?
We are looking for what Kyle Shanahan said about it postgame. Mike, I haven't seen anything yet. When we do, we'll pass it along.
Okay, and then the other thing I just wanted to shout out was this is clearly a defensive win, right? I mean, the defense won this game. The offense had trouble in the red zone. Purdy had his issues. I mean, what a change. Having Salah back is clearly paying dividends. Great win, and just wanted to see what was up with Kittle. So thank you for the call.
Thanks, Mike. We'll keep an eye on Shanahan and what Kittle said. But Mike's absolutely right, Sterling. This was a defensive win. I mean, Robert Salah comes in and seems like he's a miracle worker, the way that he turned around this defense after just 1 week.
Yeah, I mean, just to go from last year to Nick Sorensen, which felt like a sitting duck, like had this been the Niners last year, they don't stop Seattle on that last drive.
No.
They score a touchdown, they win this game.
Well, they're not even in a position to win the game, frankly. Seattle probably already scored a couple more touchdowns.
Yes, and, you bring in Robert Salah, you give him the keys to your draft. You're essentially telling him, we made mistakes. Save us. Please, Robert. Please save us. And today, undoubtedly, while, yes, there was heroics by Brock Purdy and Jake Tunges and Ricky Pearsall, and for as great as Christian McCaffrey was today, this is by far a defensive win, which inherently I don't actually hate, because the better this defense is, the better this team can probably be at the end of the year. And a lot of the question marks we had coming into the year were on defense, not really on the offense. Oh, you love Purdy. You love the stars they have. If they're healthy, they can go really far. This offense will carry the defense. Not today. That young defense, again, stepped up it right in the eye of the storm, stepped up when it mattered most. And this offense really struggled to a point where I'm sure a lot of people out there are saying, this defense will carry this offense this year in like, it's not going to be the inverse of this. And so, so many great plays on defense, so many drives that stalled for Seattle because they got a good stop. So many times, and this is the big one for me, so many times San Francisco's offense was trying to lose this game, whether it was missed field goals or blocked field goals or Purdy's 2 INTs. So many boneheaded mistakes on special teams and on offense. And for the Niners defense, almost every single time to either force a 3-and-out, get a punt, get takeaways, like that to me, yes, it solidifies this as a Robert Saleh defensive win for this team today.
Absolutely. And, okay, we're going to hear from Kyle Shanahan coming up later on. What we can pass along right now about the injuries. George Kittle with a hamstring injury, Juwan Jennings with a shoulder injury. Both did not return to the game once they got those injuries, and Kittle's happened in the first half, and he was quickly ruled out. Shanahan has said they will both be getting MRIs. So they're both going to be getting MRIs. We don't have anything else right now in terms of how long they expect them to be out, but if they're getting MRIs, that means they're a little fearful it could at least be something beyond just a bad bruise or a stinger or anything. Obviously, with a hamstring, it's not that, but you know what I'm talking about. So we will have to wait and see on that, Sterling. Those are going to be, if they are absences, two major absences for this offense.
There is one other thing Shanahan said, which may not matter to you, Mark, or the fans out there, but the team is still trying to sign Kendrick Bourne. So if Juwan Jennings does miss time, Kendrick Bourne feels like he did the right thing sitting out week 1, waiting for an injury to happen. So KB may be on his way to San Francisco if Juwan does miss more time than, let's say, a week against the Saints, which San Francisco should be able to survive, but we'll see depending on how the special teams does. But losing George Kittle is a massive loss if he's out for more than, let's say, 1, 2, 3 weeks. We know, me and you have talked so much, Mark, about starting off hot this year and why winning early games is important. It makes the stretch run towards the end of the year easier for you. You can afford to lose games then if you have a nice advantage in the wild card or in the division. But you also have 3 NFC West games to begin your season. Today you won. That's great. 1-0. Perfect. You have the Saints next week. Then you have the Cardinals, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then you have to go on the road, SoFi Stadium, and play the Rams, who are going to be a tough team to beat too. So not having Kittle removes another superstar, another mismatch for you on the offense, which if it was anything like today, maybe Jake Tunges is the second coming of George Kittle. Who knows? But it'll be a lot tougher to win games without arguably your best offensive player not named Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, now we don't know for sure that those guys will miss time, but Kittle hamstring, Juwan shoulder, both will be getting MRIs according to Kyle Shanahan. We will hear from Shanahan coming up later on here on Overtime. You mentioned the Rams. I can say that game has gone final down in LA. Rams beat the Texans 14-9. So another low-scoring game there. So the NFC West after Week 1, Niners, Cardinals, Rams, all 1-0. Seahawks are 0-1. That is the NFC West standings through 1 week. One thing I want to bring up to you, Sterling, and get your thoughts on before we go back out to the phone lines, and it's Overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy, Sterling Bennett with you. End of the first half, 7-7 tie. Niners get the ball with not a 2-minute drill, but kind of like a 4-minute drill where you're not going super quick, but your goal is to kill as much time as possible and get into the end zone or at least kick a field goal kind of as time expires. You also get the ball out of the second half, so it's the opportunity that Shanahan loves to double up. And they get into the red zone, right? There was the big Kyle Juszczyk 25-yard completion down the right sideline. There was Juwan's first catch on a 3rd and 7. That his first catch of the year, 3rd and Juwan, made its 2025 debut, got a first down. They get into the red zone, Sterling. And what happens with Kyle Shanahan, and it's one of the things that absolutely infuriates me about Shanahan and his philosophy, is you get into a situation where you're in scoring area, right? You're around the red zone. This is field goal range for, frankly, whoever your kicker is. It could be Jake Moody. It could be anybody else. You're in field goal range. And what Kyle Shanahan tends to do, I don't know if turtling up is the right phrase, but he takes his foot off the gas and he says, I'm just going to run the ball because I know at worst right now we're going to get 3 points, and I would rather get 3 points and take the percentage from scoring a touchdown way down if it means I don't have to give Seattle the ball back. And I just sense an entire shift in aggressiveness, in play calling decisions, in scheme, in the playbook. It's incredibly vanilla. It runs up the middle. It is nothing unique and creative. And what happens is they, surprise, don't move the ball anymore. They have to kick a field goal with still time on the clock because they don't move the chains to continue to kill the clock. And then what happens? Jake Moody misses the kick, and Seattle still has enough time to go and kick a field goal, and they take a 10-7 lead. It's one thing to still have Jake Moody on this roster and trust him to make kicks. It's another to entirely change your play calling philosophy and strategy just because you're trying to double up at the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half. Just put your pedal to the metal, try to get a touchdown, and whatever happens after that happens. That is one of my pet peeves with Kyle Shanahan. In those circumstances, he becomes a shell of himself.
That may be, and you kind of already said it, one of the most infuriating things about Kyle. It's clock management, and it has been an issue for a long time. Obviously, it shows itself in different areas, whether it is, milking the clock to get a field goal before halftime or not knowing when to call timeouts. There was a point in this game where Shanahan wasn't calling timeouts, and we all were like, why are you calling timeouts for your defense? Preserve some time, which, they got the win, so you can kind of say, oh, it kind of worked, I guess, but there are so many instances where, because that margin of error is so thin for this team, and we saw it today, a 4-point victory. It is a one Nick Bosa non-fumble away from you losing this game. And most games this year are probably going to be like that, to have your head coach who is so great in every other area, essentially. Like, great play caller, great run game coordinator, an adequate or above average pass game coordinator. Like, he can do so many things to help that offense put up 30 points a game. Not today, but in other games, 30 points a game. And to get into the red zone, a place where, because at the point in time, you still had Juwan, you had Christian McCaffrey, you had Ricky Pearsall, and you had Brock Purdy, that is the point where good teams separate from great teams. Where, 3 points compared to 7. It is a difference in a game like this, and for Kyle to, like you said, turtle up or get meek and mild and go, let's play for a field goal, gotta play keep away, even though Seattle's defense can't stop us, it's so frustrating, where they had it first and goal. Like, they're right there, 6-8 yards away. They can't get a first down anymore. It's you score or it's over. And they have a run to the left. It's blown up by Seattle's defense. They know what's coming. They were stacking the box the whole day with 8 dudes. It was like, look, we're selling out to stop Christian McCaffrey, because why wouldn't you? That play, to me, signified Shanahan saying, you know what, I don't mind wasting a play in the red zone when you can't get a first down, to make sure Seattle can't get the ball back, which didn't work, obviously. It backfires. And you can say that because this team is young in aspects, unproven in aspects, that they need Kyle Shanahan more than ever. Shanahan also at times, because this team is so young and has so many unproven guys, needs to get out of his own way too. It will end up costing San Francisco games on top of the issues they already have. Yeah,
I'm with you. But they found a way to win today. 17-13 is the final score. It's overtime here on 95.7 The Game. 888-957-9570. Let's keep it rolling on the phone lines. Again, 888-957-9570. Nick in Berkeley is up next. Nick, what's up? You're on overtime with Grandy and Sterling. How you doing, Nick?
Man, I haven't nails. I got 2 tomorrow. Fingers, man. That was a good biter, bro. Nick, it's really hard to hear it. Give us a call back, and we'll try to work on your connection. We could hardly understand what you were saying there. Up next is Matt in San Jose. Matt, what's up? You're on overtime. How you doing?
What's up, boss? I just think overall, the secondary played out of their minds. Yeah, you have some bad plays and some questionable interference calls, but overall, for a secondary that young, they just look good, man. They really do. And it's weird to see a Niners team where I feel the secondary is stronger than the D-line, if that makes sense.
Interesting, Matt. How to think about that? Secondary stronger than the defensive line. I don't know about that, Sterling. I mean, there were definite good moments from both units. I thought the way that Jackson Smith and Jigba at times abused Upton Stout makes that maybe I swing to the defensive line side of things. I thought Nick Bosa was very good in this game. Kalia Davis had a really big, important tackle for loss as well in this one. But I liked the way that Upton Stout bounced back and fought through some of his issues. Now, he got beat on a big gain by Jackson Smith and Jigba on the left sideline in the first half. Later on in that drive, he was called for the pass interference in the end zone versus Cooper Kupp. Definitely was a pass interference, by the way. He was grabbing Cooper Kupp's arm basically the whole way. But, I mean, Marquise Siegel, was there a terrible moment from Marquise Siegel in his NFL debut today? Renardo Green with a gigantic pass breakup in the second half as well against Jackson Smith and Jigba, fighting through the ground because JSN had that one as a catch, and then he ripped it away as the two went colliding together down to the ground. Diamador Lenore had a couple of penalties, including one for throwing. I believe he threw Jackson Smith and Jigba into the pile in the first half after the play was over. That's kind of what Diamador Lenore does
do that.
as one of the defensive energizers in that group. He does tend to be a little over-aggressive in that regard at times. But for the most part, I don't think there wasn't like a back-breaking mistake this group made, and that was, frankly, what did them in a lot last year. You just had one mistake. It turns into a 60-yard touchdown, and all the good work you just did goes out the window. There were some big gains, obviously, and JSN is a hell of a receiver. That's a really tough ask for Upton Stout in his NFL debut. But to agree with Matt a bit, I was impressed with the defensive backfield.
Yeah, I think the way Salah uses the defensive line, to me, with the stunts and really the front seven as a whole, you have to include the linebackers in there too because they're all utilized kind of together. How they Salah blitzed so many times with the linebackers today. It was awesome to see finally kind of generating pressure for this Niners defense. And while maybe there weren't a lot of sacks on San Francisco's defensive line's end today, I do think that on the ground, especially for as terrible as this Niners run defense was last year, they came up big. And I get it. Look, Seattle doesn't have, the RB1. They don't have the Saquon Barkley. They don't have, Derrick Henry. They don't have the number one running back you point to.
Yep.
Charbonnet is a hard runner, and he was running hard today, putting his head down, blowing over some guys. But overall, I was really impressed by San Francisco's run defense on the ground together. Only 3.2 yards given up per play, which is really good compared to last year. It felt like 6 yards every single rushing attempt by the opposing offense, but it's also hard to disagree with the caller because the secondary was great today for as young as they are. Two brand new starters in there, two rookie starters, only got beat over the top once, and it was the last drive of the game where Seattle had to go deep, and it was not even bad coverage whatsoever. Like, we've seen so many times in previous years, even with the defense being great, they were always susceptible to the deep ball. Whether it was Hufanga, Jair Brown, Tashawn Gibson, or Jaquiski Tart, it was one play a game we all said, uh-oh. And today, for, again, as lackluster as the game as a whole overall was and not putting up more than 17 points and maybe wanting to get some more sacks and blow up some more plays, they got 2 turnovers. The defensive line and the secondary both got turnovers today. So I think it was an overall A+ effort from both parts of the defense.
Yeah, they were really good in this one, and there's no doubt they were the side of the football that won this game for the Niners.
Yeah.
They win 17-13 in Seattle week 1. They stay atop the NFC West along with the Rams and the Cardinals, who also won. Seahawks down in the cellars at 0-1 early on. Let's go back out to the phones, 888-957-9570. Nick has called back, and we got his connection sorted out. Nick in Berkeley, what's up? Tell us what you were saying earlier, man.
Oh, man, I was just saying that the defense really came through, man. I thought that the winners really played great. He's filling in for Greenlaw, and man, he played like a beast. And then also, for Green and Lenoir was playing great, man. But Bosa coming through, man, with that big play at the end, shoving the guy into him with we made it really close, man. And we got really lucky on that touchdown pass by Purdy at the end. Luckily, the youngster Thompson just went up there and grabbed it and snatched it. and that was just a great play by him. But, man, Shanahan be killing me still, like you guys said, man. Like, how about some play action, man? Like these constant runs up the middle, man. We lucky, he's used McCaffrey like way too much, man. Robinson was running hard, and it's like, and then like in the first, like in the first quarter, we go to Percy like 3, 4, or 5 times, and then we don't even really see him until late in the game. I'm like, where did he go in the second and third quarter?
Yeah, Nick, I think it's a fair discussion. I mean, Sterling, one thing that stood out to me in this game was after Purdy's first interception. Let me find it here in my notes. Where is it here? That interception happened in the second half. It was early in the second half. So Purdy made the decision to throw off his back foot in the face of pressure towards Juwan Jennings over the middle, and the linebacker had a little bit more depth, I think, than he was expecting, and Ernest Jones picks it off. The next Niner drive, at this point it's still 10-7 Seattle, the next Niner drive after the interception, and the Niners, frankly, had been moving the ball a good amount. The next possession was run, quick throw to McCaffrey, run. The 4th and 2 decision where they threw to Luke Farrell to get the first down on 4th and 2. I love the decision to go forward on 4th down there. Then a run, a quick throw to McCaffrey, randomly a fade down the right sideline to Juwan Jennings that had no chance of being complete, and then a field goal attempt at that point. It was a 14-play drive, 57 yards, took an 8.5 minutes off the clock, and of course the field goal attempt was blocked. But I don't know how you took that. In my mind, Sterling, I'm looking, and I know that they moved the ball, and frankly, it was a good drive. Now, it was a slow-moving drive, but they were getting some chunks here and there. But after the interception, that to me screamed like Kyle Shanahan saying, you know what, I got to be conservative to win this football game. And while I understand without George Kittle, and they're clearly trying to limit the amount of time McCaffrey touches the ball with the way that they use Brian Robinson, it felt to me like there was a little bit of a lack of trust in letting Purdy air the ball out, and that is a drive where Pearsall got lost. He was nowhere to be found, and it was just run, or quick throw to McCaffrey, and that was it, basically that entire drive.
Sometimes Kyle does need to reel in Brock Purdy. Now, we all love Brock Purdy. Obviously, his playmaking skill set helped them win this game today at the very end, but not that I was getting Jimmy Garoppolo vibes of like, oh, here comes Kyle being scared of his quarterback to utilize him. Run, here we go. But there was an aspect where you could tell, and you are right on this, Mark, that the Niners and Kyle Shanahan himself was like, I can't risk this game getting out of hand because we're making mistakes. We're being dumb with the football. And overwhelmingly, Purdy usually is pretty safe, but you can tell, like last year, because this game was very much like last season, minus the addition of Christian McCaffrey on your offense, where he doesn't have the weapons, he doesn't have the receivers. The offensive line was atrocious today when he was in pass protection, where Purdy gets a little bit of, Superman energy. Oh, I have to, play, superhero ball, and he makes mistakes doing that. So, Kyle, I think, smartly did reel him in a little bit and say, look, this may cost us Christian McCaffrey the entire season, but for this game, we're going to run him into the ground to hopefully keep this one alive in week 1.
Yeah. 888-957-9570. It's overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Mark, Randy, and Sterling Bennett with you. Let's go out to Jan in Mountain View who wants to weigh in. Jan, what's up? You're on overtime. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. They won the game, except I got a little frustrated, seeing, Kyle, I know Purdy wanted to get a touchdown to avoid Moody from missing another field goal, and they were really, pressing to get that first down and keep the drive alive. And then Seattle comes in and sacks the quarterback and gets a loss for yardage. And here we go again, and we have nothing but we have fourth down, and we have to go for a field goal. And I said, oh, God, I'm holding my breath. I hope to heaven's name that you make it this time, because we're running out of time, and it's in the fourth quarter, and we're on the losing side here. So please, and finally he got that touchdown to tie the game. But then we go ahead and we're getting another drive, and we almost, we're were able to score that touchdown. But, man, I was getting scared there at the very end, and thank goodness that Bosa came in and picked up, was trying to get that Defensive Player of the Year again back like he did in 19. And I hope I'm glad that Salah is back and the defense is picking up where they did when Salah was the defensive coordinator in the first place. So go Niners, and I'm glad we won that game. But I think Shanahan better get another kicker. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Jan. Appreciate the call. I think
gear
Jan,
up.
I think Jan sums up the feeling of a lot of Niner fans right now. Thank God they got that win, but man, was that frustrating and difficult to watch at times. It was. I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier, Sterling. So many of the issues that hurt the Niners last year hurt them again today. They were 2 for 5 in the red zone, so red zone opportunities when they had the ball at the 20 or inside. They only scored a touchdown 2 of those 5 times. You get 5 red zone opportunities in a game, you're moving the ball pretty good. They only scored touchdowns on 2 of them. And goal to go, when they get at the 10 or inside, on goal to go, first and goal from wherever, in those situations, they only scored a touchdown 1 out of 3 times. This team still cannot move the ball in the red zone. It is beyond belief the way that this team is able to move the ball between the 20s, and then they get into the red zone and they can't. And so many of us, myself included, and it's only one game, I don't want to overreact to one bad game in the red zone, but it's hard not to when this was also the case last year. In my mind, it was McCaffrey's back. It's the red zone deficiencies are going to disappear, and it's going to be a strength once again. Now, maybe it's a little more difficult. It's a little more difficult to kind of gauge that when Kittle misses the majority of this game. And by the way, the one red zone drive they had when Kittle was in, they did score a touchdown thanks to George Kittle himself. But the red zone is still a major issue, and that is only intensified when you can't trust your kicker. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I almost want them to go for a 4th down every time when they get in the red zone, because converting on 4th and 3 seems like a higher likelihood than Moody making a kick.
Everything you said, Mark, is 1 trillion% correct. It's higher than the U.S. debt right now. That's how high it is. It's completely right. Kicker's terrible. They can't score in the red zone. The offensive line can't do diddly squat. Jake Brendel's turned backwards the entire time. Trent Williams is getting pushed back. Colt McKivitz is getting called for false starts on pivotal drives. Again, in San Francisco, like you said, moved the football extremely well throughout almost the entirety of the game. Just like last year, right? They were 7th in PPR or whatever it is. They look so good. Yeah, they didn't score points. I don't care what the stats say. They have to score points. Scoring matters in the NFL, right? The Colts put up 27 points. They have Daniel Jones playing quarterback. I don't care. You have to score points in the NFL. That's all that matters. And so, to think that Christian McCaffrey comes back and it fixes things, no. I thought this game was a great example as to why it is so confusing, so frustrating for a run-first offense, for no matter how much you pay Brock Purdy, no matter how much you pay Brandon Ayuk, and you love George Kittle, and you love Ricky Pearsall, for a run-first offense to not find adequate offensive linemen. This offensive line, it was terrible last year. And what'd they say? We'll just bring 4 of the starters back and we'll plug in Ben Barch and hope it works. Why was that the strategy? Look, it's one game. There is 16 more to go. Maybe they'll get better. Like Shanahan said, week 1's offense and defense is not going to be week 12's offense and defense. But week 1, this 5-game stretch is big and pivotal for you. You're going to face better defenses with the Rams. You're going to face worse teams too, like the Saints and the Jaguars. But still, you have to score points. If you allow other teams to stay in games like you let Seattle do today, San Francisco should have been winning this game 13-0 at one point. This game should have not, the Seahawks by no means in any aspect deserve to win this football game. The Niners gave them the football twice. They missed field goals twice. The Seahawks had no business being in this game, which is why it's so frustrating, because you have 5 red zone trips and you're moving backwards on half the plays. Like, what's going on out there? And it's so abundantly clear. The lack of insurance, the lack of draft picks, the lack of capital they put into the offensive line, it shows. It shows whenever they get into the red zone. They have no anchor. They can't push piles anymore. It is staggeringly just insane how bad the offensive line is in the red zone right now.
Yeah. I think just to add one thing real quick about your offensive line comments, I think you're absolutely right about it. I don't think this is a failure of this offseason. This is a failure of like the last 4 offseasons.
Yes.
And refusing to plan for the moment where you let Aaron Banks leave, right? Like refusing to plan for that moment, because I don't think anyone believes that paying Aaron Banks what he got in Green Bay was the right decision, considering all the other money the Niners have tied up in other key players. That was not the move. Right. But it was having a reliable guy behind him that's waiting in the ways, kind of like Aaron Banks was once Laken Tomlinson left and went to the Jets. A similar plan to that. They did not have that ready at all for this offseason, leading into this season, and after week 1, it does seem like it is a failure of the last handful of off seasons. All right. Let's sneak in one more call before we head to a break, and I know a lot of you want to weigh in. Just be patient, and we will get to you before we get out of here today, and we got plenty more to get into. 888-957-9570. Dave in South San Francisco has been patient and wants to weigh in. Dave, what's up? How you doing?
Oh, great. Long-time Niner fan. So the negatives I got, penalties, interceptions, the kicker, the injuries, and the point total. However, everything else looked pretty good. I'm not a coach, but it looked pretty good. I sensed a lot of good stuff for this year. So I think they're going to do good this year. That's my thought.
Thank you, Dave. I think that was a pretty quick summation, but I think you're spot on. Niners did commit 9 penalties for 61 yards. Seahawks only 4 for 30. That was a big part of this game. I think if we want to simplify it like Dave just did, Sterling, good teams, and it's still TBD how good this Niner team is. I think they are a good team. We don't know if they're a great team. Good teams find ways to win games when you're nowhere near your best, and I don't think any of us can say the Niners were near their best today, but you found a way to win. And sometimes you're just going to have to win ugly, and a lot of times that's what it is in week 1. It's not going to immediately look amazing, especially when you're relying on so many youngsters as the Niners are. This was an ugly game, but I'd much rather win ugly than lose ugly. Last year was losing ugly. This year they found a way to win ugly.
What do they say? Diamonds are built through pressure. You have to build that callus up. Sometimes it pays to win ugly early because you can win pretty late. So I'm hoping that's the case for San Francisco. If you have to go through this 5-game stretch of 3 NFC West opponents and you have to win those games by 3 points or 1 point or a game-winning field goal or a missed field goal by the opposing team, get it done. It doesn't matter how you win in the NFL. All that matters is at the end of the day, when that clock hits 0, are you victorious? And San Francisco was today. And let's not forget, division games are tough to win. And anytime you can do that, no matter who you're playing, whether you're the first place team or the last place team, division games matter more than almost any other game on your schedule. So right now, San Francisco, yes, is 1-0, but they're also 1-0 in the division. And now those games matter the most.
Yes, absolutely. And be a team that most people feel like is going to be in this division race all year long. And who knows?
Yep.
This could be the difference in winning the division or not. It could have come down to what happened week number 1. Now, the Niners also play the Seahawks the final game of the regular season. That bookends this entire regular season, but there's no denying that this was a hugely, hugely important win. Niners are 1-0 with a 17-13 win. Okay. Time for a break here on Overtime. Plenty more of you want to weigh in. Mitch, I see you. Eli, along with Scratch and Eric. We will get to you on the other side. Plenty to dive into still as the Niners knock off the Seahawks 17-13 in week number 1. It's overtime here on 95.7 The Game. That's Sterling Bennett. I'm Mark Randy. We're back with more on 95.7 The Game after this.
Hey, it's Willard and Dibs for Safeway. Enjoy these amazing deals for Safeway members. And as always, save up to 20% weekly on hundreds of exclusive offers with For You on the Safeway app. I hear you, Dibs. That means that Signature Select Chicken Split Breast, Thighs, Drumsticks, Value Pack, or Foster Farms Fresh and Natural Whole Chicken, buy one, get one free of equal or lesser value when you buy two. Everybody's now letting on the joke, and we need some side dishes.
How about fruits? Fresh cut fruits, veggies, dips, salsas, parfaits, or trays. Buy two, get one free of equal or lesser value when you buy three. Or Progresso soup, 18 to 19 ounce size cans, selected varieties. Buy two, get two free of equal or lesser value when you buy four. There's no sound for soup, Mark.
No, there isn't, but I do love a Progresso party. These and other great digital deals are available in the For You section on the Safeway app. Just download the weekly deals to your account, and they automatically deduct at checkout. How cool is that? We'll see you in the aisles.
Coach, the energy out there felt different. What changed for the team today?
It was the new game day scratchers from the California Lottery. Players, everything. Those games sent the team's energy through the roof.
Are you saying it was the off-field play that made the difference on the field?
Hey, a little play makes your day, and today, it made the game. That's all for now.
Coach, one more question.
Play the new Los Angeles Chargers, San Francisco 49ers, and Los Angeles Rams Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten. Classics are remixed. Bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
It's NorCal versus SoCal in the ultimate rivalry showdown. The San Jose Earthquakes take on LAFC September 13th at Levi's Stadium. This match could be the key to the Quakes' playoff push, and the action doesn't stop at the final whistle. Catch a live halftime performance by Edgardo Nunez. And before the game, don't miss Fan Fest with Blue Demon Jr. in a live wrestling match. Plus meet and greets with world champion boxer Eric Morales and L3 legend Moises Munoz. Get your tickets now at SJEarthquakes.com and be there when NorCal brings the heat.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Your cold is coming. Your cold is coming. When you feel a cold coming, shorten it with Zicam, the #1 cold shortening brand.
Oh, no, not before my big trip.
The big trip you've been planning is coming up, and so is your cold. But Zicam can shorten your cold and get you back to planning sooner.
Thanks, Revere.
We really should keep Zicam in the house.
Shorten your cold with Zicam.
Take it from America's most revered messenger. Shorten your cold at the first sign with cold shortening products from Zicam, the #1 cold shortening brand. Available in stores or see where to buy at Zicam.com.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right, so we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco, on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
Kubiak, first game as the OC here. Sends in a call for 2nd and 4. Darnold. Hit as he let it go. The ball is loose. The 49ers have it. It's Bosa. Nick Bosa and the 49ers closing the door on the Seahawks.
Now back to overtime. Instant reaction to the game with Mark Grandy and Sterling Bennett. We are the Bay Area's football station. 95.7 The Game.
Indeed we are. Welcome back. It's overtime. Grandy and Sterling with you. That was Nick Bosa winning the game for the Niners down the stretch. Credited with a sack because he was the guy with the pressure on Sam Darnold, forcing Darnold to basically run himself into the back of his offensive lineman. That knocked the ball free. Bosa recovered it, and the Niners kneel on it. They go victory formation at Lumen Field in Seattle, and they win 17-13. Sterling, that was hell for 3 hours, but man, am I so glad to have that back every Sunday. Man, it was good to watch the Niners play football once again.
I was telling my wife today, she wanted to go and get breakfast with their family, and I said, we can do it as long as you want. I said, honey, but I got to be back by 1 o'clock. My Niners need me. I said, I am glued to that seat from 1:05 to whenever that game's over. And I'll tell you what, this game was a game you didn't leave your seat. You didn't get food. You didn't go to the bathroom. You held it in. You sucked it up, and you said, I cannot leave because every snap matters. And it did. It almost came down to the very last snap. I'm not going to lie, Mark. I was sitting there like, touchdown! Oh my God, we're gonna lose! No! And thankfully, San Francisco held on. Well, it's the ebbs and flows, Mark. It's the roller coaster. Enjoy the ride.
It is. I mean, the guys here in the studio, shout out to Cam and Steven, they will confirm this if you ask them. After the Niners got the touchdown, the Jake Tonjes moss in the end zone to go up 17-13 with 1:50 left, which was surprising as hell. A couple of plays later, Sam Darnold connects with Jackson Smith and Jigba for 40 yards down to the San Francisco 14-yard line with still a minute to go. I screamed here in the studio in that moment, oh my God, they're going to lose. And I imagine that's how you felt. I imagine that's how all of our callers and our listeners felt as well, because after last year, we've kind of been conditioned for that. Yeah. But Nick Bosa stepped up. The Niners made a defensive play, and they managed to get a win 17-13. And hey, it could be ugly. There could be some injuries that are concerning going forward, but you got the win. And as far as today goes, that's all that matters. 17-13 is the final, and it's Grandy and Sterling with you here on Overtime on 95.7 The Game. Okay, a lot of you want to weigh in. Let's go back out to the phone lines. 888-957-9570. Who do you want to shout out from this game today? Because there's a lot of praise to go around. Up next is Mitch in New Jersey. What's up, Mitch? You're on Overtime on 95.7 The Game. How you doing?
Good. What's cracking, guys? Thanks for taking my call. Rick Pearsall, I think I got him. I know he only had 4 catches, but he had over 100 yards. So it's great. And can we use Brian Robinson more? Christian McCaffrey is dealing with an injury. Why not use the new running back that we traded for? I don't want to give up 6, but he was pretty good in Washington. Let's see more of him. Let's see more of Brian Robinson, too.
Yeah, Mitch, appreciate the call. Sterling, let me ask you this. Do you want to see more of Brian Robinson? He finishes with 9 carries for 33 yards. Was not targeted in the passing game, or he was targeted twice, caught 1 for 4 yards. So 10 touches for 37 yards for Brian Robinson in his Niner debut. If you would have asked me before I looked at the stats, how many touches did Robinson have, I would have guessed it was more than 10. I would have guessed maybe closer to 15, just the way that the game felt to me. Yeah. It did seem like the Niners are committed to giving Robinson a drive or at least a set of downs every so often. And as long as McCaffrey has been here, we really have not seen that from the 49ers. So it does seem like there is a concerted effort to limit the number of touches, or at least like the consecutive number of touches McCaffrey would get over the course of a game. But you look up 22 carries for 69 yards and 10 targets, 9 catches for 73 yards. So still 31 touches for McCaffrey today. That's not like less than usual. That is more than usual. 31 touches when it looked like, just on a drive-to-drive basis, it felt like they were trying to limit his touches, but still 31 touches for McCaffrey.
I would rather Christian McCaffrey's touches go down, and I think they would have had George Kittle and Juwan Jennings been out there. There certainly was this over-reliance on CMC to pull this thing out, but I was actually shocked. We saw Brian Robinson that many times today. I was worried that this was going to be a CMC full slate with a calf injury. It was all fake. We're all playing games here, playing chess and whatnot. But I was pleasantly surprised how much Kyle openly used the RB2. And I was really happy about it. I was worried. I'm sure fans were. He saw the report on Thursday. Chris McCaffrey isn't practicing. He's limited with a calf injury. We all went to panic mode. Mark, I'm sure you saw me on Twitter yelling and screaming like, what's going on with Christian McCaffrey?
I tried to calm you down. I tried. I told you he was going to play.
It did not work.
No one wanted to listen to me. No one wanted to listen.
I was on pins and needles all morning. As soon as they said active, I was like, honey, we can breathe. It's okay. She was like, I don't care. I don't like football. And I said, then be quiet. The game's on. But I was so happy you played. But I was very also happy that San Francisco did utilize the RB2. They would not have done this 2 years ago with Jordan Mason.
Yep.
We all wanted it then. And we all want to see Christian McCaffrey's touches go down, maybe 22 total, maybe 18 total. And again, had they been healthy completely, that would probably go down. But overall, I was pleasantly surprised how much they used Robinson today.
Yeah, and I think the issue with McCaffrey, for me, and obviously the backdrop is what you laid out, the end of this past week, where we get the news Thursday afternoon, late afternoon, that he was limited in practice, has a calf issue, and we have PTSD when it comes to McCaffrey and his calves. And then we find out that he didn't practice at all on Friday. Now, Friday is kind of a glorified walkthrough, so it's not much of a practice anyway, so he didn't really miss all that much. But usually, if you don't practice on Friday, generally you tend to not play a game on Sunday. But he ended up playing, and that was kind of the scuttlebutt all weekend long leading up to this morning when he was officially activated. For me, though, you get past the initial shock of, oh my God, he has a calf again, and it's not even week one. My issue with Shanahan's usage of McCaffrey is not in games like this, when it is close, and you need these 31 touches for McCaffrey to win. Like, you give McCaffrey 30 touches, you might lose this game. Like, that's how close it was. My issue with McCaffrey's usage is when you don't need him to win the game in the fourth quarter, yet he still is dominating the carries and the touches in a drive that is relatively meaningless. To me, today's game tells me when that is the case and Niners lead by, say, 10 points with 5 minutes left, that is when we will see less McCaffrey and more Brian Robinson. To me, today's game tells me that, given how they used B-Rob when it was a close game. But again, if I get past the initial fear of McCaffrey's calf, today's usage of McCaffrey does not bother me. It's the games when it's not close and you don't need all of those touches to win that bothers me. I have no issue with what happened today, though.
Well, and today, Christian McCaffrey looked like 2022, 2023 Christian McCaffrey. There wasn't a massive play that was done for him on the ground, but you look at his stats, it's hard to kind of differentiate what he looked like 2 years ago and this year. 22 carries, 69 yards, albeit again only 3 on the ground, or 3 per yard on the ground.
Yeah, not as explosive on the ground, no doubt.
Right,
but a lot of that is the
9
offensive
catches
line.
For 73 yards, we all talked during the preseason, during the offseason via text and tweets, and you see what the news is saying. We all said, Christian McCaffrey is more valuable to this team, maybe through the air, than on the ground. Obviously, you want to run the football and establish the run, but where Christian McCaffrey's early season presence will be felt is when you don't have Ayuk and you don't have Robinson. Now you may not have Kittle for a while, who knows, or Juwan Jennings. Christian McCaffrey through the air on the passing game is going to be a big difference maker for San Francisco. And today it was. CMC looked like CMC despite maybe me biting my nails in between plays of like, please get up, please get up, please get up. Yeah. He looked like a healthy vintage Christian McCaffrey, which was a very important factor in the win today.
Yeah, that's our reality with McCaffrey now. It's every time he hits the ground, it's just fingers crossed, praying that he gets up, and he did today. He got up 31 times after touching the ball 31 times. All right, 888-957-9570. We got full lines. Let's keep it going here on the phone lines. Eli in Berkeley is up next. Eli, hell of a win. What do you got for us?
What's good, you guys? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear.
We got you.
Okay. Good win. Nonetheless, a win is a win. However you get it, this one was kind of ugly. First game of the season, so we got new players, no Devo, no Ayuk, new position players, young players. But I thought it was all about making plays, and I thought we did that offensively and defensively. So 3 people I want to highlight. D. Winters, the linebacker, really provided a lot of support with Fred Warner right there in the middle and outside. I thought he was flying around, you know what I'm saying, making plays, tackles for losses. So he did a real good job, you know what I'm saying, in his first game with us. I thought Luke Farrell made the biggest play at the end of the game. It was a terrible decision by Brock Purdy, but guess what? When that ball is in the air, it's like 3 flies up. You got to go make a play, and Luke Farrell made one of the biggest plays offensively for us. And then I'm going to give a shout-out to Ricky Pearsall. You know what I'm saying? Second-year player. Everything that he faced as far as adversity with being shot in his leg, which missed a major artery, which he could have bled out and died. Thankful that didn't happen. He played amazing today. He was making play after play. He was stretching the field, and that's what we need. We really haven't had a vertical attack in the last several years, and I think he provides that for us. So that's a positive. Now, let me highlight our conservative play calling. I still feel that we were not prepared to play a football game because we had 6 penalties for like 50-some yards, 60-some yards. That's inexcusable for a Super Bowl caliber team. Like, this team has had cohesion. We've been together for a long time. So we need to shore up and be more prepared offensively, special teams, and defensively, and limit those penalties to give us better chances and better field position. And then also Brock Purdy, I know he got that contract. I don't know if it looked like he was trying to become Brett Favre today. He threw some inexplainable passes, trying to force the ball in soft zone coverages in which it was a quarterback spy. And then he tried to force the ball in, like, triple coverage. You can't make those plays as a veteran quarterback who has been to a Super Bowl already. I expect better from Brock Purdy and our preparation from Kyle Shanahan. But salute to Robert Salah. I'm glad we got him back. He deserved it. And our defense picked up right where we left off. But we still have secondary issues. Our cornerbacks, the rookie Stout and Lenore, they got beat deep. One was a penalty on Stout, and then he got beat again on a double move. And then Lenore also got beat on that last drive, which gave them great field goal position where he got beat by Njigba. So we got to shore up some things. This first game, it was a rivalry game, a division game, but a win is a win. So we got to move on to next week, but we got to shore up a lot of things this week, and we got to just stay healthy because I don't know what's going on. We cannot stay healthy for nothing in the world.
Yeah, so, Eli, you're right. The health is a major concern. Appreciate the call, Eli. Clean up a couple of things. You shouted out Farrell at the very beginning. He did have a big catch on a 4th down, but I think the catch that you're talking about was the touchdown. That was the other tight end, Jake Tonjes, his 3rd career catch in the NFL. The other 2 came like in the previous 4 plays. It was his first career touchdown, and you mentioned Ricky Pearsall got shot. He got shot in the chest, not the leg. Not that big of a deal. But those guys definitely deserve their shout-outs. Penalties were a concern. This felt like a Week 1 game where you got some guys that haven't played football yet, like Trent Williams had not played a snap in the preseason, and Trent Williams,
he got rolled up on.
He was not very good, and he limped off at one point.
My heart dropped.
It was not a normal Trent Williams game. Yeah, he went into the blue medical tent. The offensive line in general was not very good. That is a major, major concern of mine, and I know yours as well. But again, you found a way to win. There's so much to improve on, and a team that is as young as the Niners are in a number of different areas, you expect that group to be able to improve, not immediately, but like you fast forward to week 8, and you feel like a lot of these guys are going to be a whole lot better than they put out on tape today.
Yeah, I did think that Upton Stout had himself kind of a welcome to the NFL moment where JSN, he kind of fakes the block and then cuts to the outside for about 20 yards, and you're like, what's going on?
It almost looked like Stout thought he had safety help on that side, but there was no one on that side of the field.
Yeah, none. And then the penalty, like, I thought it was definitely a welcome to the NFL day for Stout, but then late in the last drive, albeit again didn't matter because he got the big 41-yard reception later in the drive. He got a big PBU to, at that point in time, kind of stunt Seattle's momentum. So I think they believe Stout will be a quick learner. There's a reason why he's starting week 1. I am shocked we didn't see Chase Lucas a bit, but they're banking on these young guys making quick advancements in their progressions and in their growth. But to the caller's point, though, Brock Purdy's getting paid $53 million a year now.
Yep.
And I get it. There's context as to why maybe he felt like he had to make a big play and he forced some throws. But elite quarterbacks, in which Brock Purdy is now being paid like one, and whether you agree with that statement of if he is an elite quarterback or not, the price tag next to his name equals elite status amongst NFL quarterbacks. And you expect Brock Purdy to, win games like this, in which today he did, which is awesome, but not put your offense and your defense in compromising positions. And Brock Purdy did that the first time. Maybe you excuse it, not a great play, but it's 1 INT. Okay, you can bounce back from that. The second interception, though, that one felt like if your defense does not pick you up, that's it. The game's over. You cannot have your quarterback that is getting paid $53 million a year have a back-breaking turnover like that. I dare say San Francisco was lucky to come back from that mistake of Brock Purdy. It was inexcusable. It was a bad decision. There was no reason for it. It just mirrored the choice of Purdy to throw it to Juwan Jennings in the end zone last year late in the season against the Rams and Monday Night Football, where he's triple covered early in the drive, which didn't make sense then either. Didn't make sense today. I'm expecting more from my quarterback when they have that big, large price tag next to their name. Brock won you the game, late heroics, but you cannot put this team in positions like they were today and expect to win, knowing how many holes your roster has.
Yeah, that second interception, the throw into like triple or quadruple coverage to Pearsall, it reminded me of, I think it was Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated who had this quote from Brock Purdy maybe 3 weeks ago, and it essentially was Purdy talking about what last year was for him personally. And he said something along the lines of, like, I tried to be Superman. I tried to do too much instead of just taking the easy, take the under, take the quick throw out to the flat for 7 yards. Instead of trying to be Superman with these hero plays, he was doing too much. He was trying to do too much. You have all these injuries. He felt like it was on him and almost him alone to get everything back. And so the adjustment for him, at least based on what he said, was like simpler. Don't press, don't try to do too much, and just take the easy plays. And that second interception today, Sterling, when it's without George Kittle and without Juwan Jennings, and of course you still don't have Brandon Ayuk and the offensive line is not helping, it made me think, well, this is exactly what he self-identified as the issue last year, and it happened again week 1. Now, again, it's just 1 week, but much like the special teams issues and much like the red zone issues, that for Purdy was also what hurt him last year, and it's not the most encouraging sign that it hurt him again in week 1.
Yeah, I'm hoping that last year didn't lull Purdy into this kind of routine of, even if I have my guys healthy, I still have to be a hero. I know Purdy has openly talked about, wanting to get back to playing within the system. He often highlights his rookie season tape as his best tape, which I think we'd all say 2023 was a much better Brock Purdy, but playing in the offense, and I get it's hard to do that when guys can't get open, your offensive line can't block for you, and you do feel shorthanded, in which they were today. They did not have 3 of their top 4 wide receivers. That cannot be understated. You didn't have your Hall of Fame tight end. That cannot be understated. However, it's in those moments that you expect quarterbacks like Brock Purdy, guys that have been to a Super Bowl, have faced the best defenses in football, have seen every coverage for 3 years now, that know that when you are short-staffed, your margin for error gets narrower and narrower. That one interception can doom and condemn you to a loss and NFL purgatory during that season if it continues over and over again. So I didn't think Brock Purdy was very good today. Obviously, one drive can make up for a whole game of mishaps, but they moved the football well. Brock was a part of that. However, I do think that Brock cleaned things up. Maybe today is kind of the coming out party for the offense to kind of shake off the rust of last year, and that's what I'm hoping is the case, because I don't know if I can handle 17 more games like this year, Mark. It was scary.
It was very scary. It was not an easy watch, but it was worth it at the end with the win. Niners come out on top in Seattle. Final score 17-13. Back out to the phones, 888-957-9570. Appreciate you for being patient. A lot of you want to weigh in, just hang out, and we will get to you eventually. Up next is a Scratch Addict in Redwood City. What's up? You're on Overtime on 95.7 The Game. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Mark and Sterling? Big-time fan of both of you. This is Sean Conn, a.k.a. Scratch Addict. I'm making my 95.7 The Game debut today.
Let's go.
I'm really excited. Nice. Hey, that was an ugly game. But what a fight to the end it turned out to be. I wanted to point out a few things. The offensive line could have played better. I don't understand how losing Aaron Banks and Jalen Moore made this better while keeping Brendel and Colton McKivitz. Like, they're absolutely average. In my opinion, they stink. So I feel that there's so much opportunity on that offensive line. I mean, Ben Barch, you think that's really an upgrade over Banks? So it's just a lot to go on the offensive line. But the next topic I want to go shoot to is Jake Moody. Good golly tamale, right? We could have been, this score could have been 21-13, right? How do you miss that point after? How do you miss that close field goal attempt? I mean, like, how much do we have to put up with this for? He needs to go. I hope Lynch had Robbie Gould on speed dial during the game, because I am not sold on Moody, and he's got to go. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate the call. And great debut. Great debut. Don't be a stranger. I mean, on Jake Moody, like, we're going to hear from Shanahan later. I can tell you that he was asked if Jake Moody is going to be this team's kicker for week 2, and he said essentially, like, yes, of course. Absolutely he will be, which I know is going to frustrate almost every Niner fan out there. I know it frustrates you, Sterling, and it frustrates me as well. The Niners, for whatever reason, are pot committed to this guy. And, I mean, it's what you and I talked about after the second preseason game in Vegas when he won the game with a 59-yard field goal attempt. And, honestly, even that wasn't enough, making a 59-yarder in a clutch situation, albeit, of course, a preseason game. The conversation for me becomes the only way that the Niners move on from this guy is if he costs them games. And until he costs them wins, like, he didn't help today. And he very well could have cost them this win, but ultimately he did not. Until he costs them wins, I don't think Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are willing to call it quits on their third-round draft pick, because I think they refuse to call it a failure. It's going to have to get to a point where he costs them wins. That's the only way that this is going to result in a change, in my opinion.
The last time I checked on an A through F scale, if you're in school and you have anything below a D, that's called a failure. Jake Moody has not just been an F, it's been an F minus. And I get it. Look, the talent is there. He has a very strong leg. That's cool, man. Some guys are really fast. Doesn't mean they should run track. It's okay. Just because you can squat a lot or your legs are strong doesn't mean you should kick field goals in the NFL. We talked about it, and you already said it, Mark, of he has to cost them games. Why not get ahead of it and say, you know what, you've almost cost us some games. Let's avoid the game costing here.
I'm with you.
Like, if you just make 2 field goals, if you make the PAT, it makes the game a lot easier. Like, I don't know how you watched last year and say, you know what, the leash can be a little longer. And for some reason, San Francisco is committed to him. And I know Kyle said some pretty interesting things about Jake Moody, and maybe there's ways to kind of translate his words of like, we're not going to cut him right now.
Oh.
But the airplane ride may be a big difference for us. But really, while Jake Moody's terrible, I want him gone. You want him gone. The fan base wants him gone. Special teams as a whole wasn't better today either. A blocked field goal attempt because Matt Hennessy's base is way too far. He's blocking 3 guys at the same time.
He got
It was
ran
bad. They
over.
overloaded him. Like, just terrible. And so things persist that are still a problem from last year. It's going to take a while to work out the kinks. And I think sometimes we forget that. The new coaching staff coming in, you hope can change things quickly, but this is not going to change overnight. There's going to be bumps on the road, but you're hoping that a field goal isn't the reason why you are a losing team this year, which today, very, very close to being the reason you lose this game.
Yeah, it feels like the margin for the Niners, whether they win 12 games or whether they win 6 games, is very thin. There are going to be a lot of games that come down to the wire, and when that's the case, that's your reality as a football team, you have to have a solid kicker. You have to have belief and faith in your kicker. You can't get to a spot, Sterling, where I think we will. And honestly, this is like the immovable object versus the unstoppable force. Like, you have Kyle Shanahan's stubbornness on 4th and short, and you have Jake Moody at kicker. And it's like maybe the only thing that can convince Kyle Shanahan to go for it on 4th down more often is because of who Jake Moody is. But we're legitimately talking about Kyle Shanahan doing something that is not natural to him and outside of his comfort zone because of Jake Moody. Like when they went for it on 4th and 2, and that was the conversion to Farrell, it was, I have it in my notes. I don't know if I'll be able to find it quickly, but it was like a 46-yard field goal attempt? It would have been something like that at that point. I guarantee you, if he had confidence in Jake Moody, or if this was a couple of years ago and it was Robbie Gould, the Niners don't go for it on 4th and 2, and they kick that field goal, and, Robbie Gould makes it. Or maybe Jake Moody of a couple of years ago makes it. Or maybe Jake Moody would have made this one too, but for whatever reason, Shanahan, it's because Jake Moody sucks and hasn't been good, doesn't actually believe in him. And it's odd because I kind of want him to go for it on 4th and short more often, but the reason why Shanahan is doing it is not because he wants to do it. He's doing it because he doesn't believe in the kicker. And that's a failure from the jump. If that's why you're making your decisions, then you don't have the right guy in that spot.
It's the Niners' decision to keep trotting out Jake Moody. Like, you want the luxury of being able to go forward on 4th down. We have Christian McCaffrey. We have a loaded offense. It's 4th and 1. Let's do it, right? Like, you want to feel like you have the confidence in your offensive roster to get the 4th down conversion. You don't want to feel like you're handcuffed and you have to do it.
Exactly.
Like when games are 21-20, when they're 13-10, and you're like, we don't even have a choice inside the opposition's 15-yard line because we don't know if Jake Moody can make the field goal and get us to later tie the football game. That is a place bad football teams are in. The Falcons today should have beat the Buccaneers. They lost. Why? Because a game-winning field goal was missed. You saw the Jets and the Steelers today. Like, these, being 9-7 or being 9-8 and being 8-9 is a 1-game difference that can lead you to a wild card. Being 10-7 and a 7-win team, like Jake Moody could very well be the difference in 3 to 4 games this year, and not in a good way. And for a team that cannot afford to give away points, when you start taking points off the board because your kicker is so shaky, is so inconsistent, you are going to lose football games. I know it sounds like, look, you have the offense, you want to put up touchdowns. Erasing the need for a field goal is a part of getting the football in the end zone when you get into the red zone. There's a failure there right now, and they can erase that by growth and hopefully changing things on offense, getting some guys back. But every game, you're going to have drives that stall on the opposition's 28-yard line, the 30-yard line. And if you can't get up 3 points on the board, you are going to lose many, many games in the NFL. And I don't know if it's Greg Joseph or it's Eddie Pinheiro or it's somebody else. I need to see one of those kickers working out for this team this week. I need to see Malik Turner or somebody else off the practice squad to make room for a kicker. I don't care. I don't care if Jake Moody has a leg or he's mentally fragile. He needs to go. He almost cost you a game after having a great offseason in which he beat Greg Joseph in the competition.
Nah, he didn't.
Clearly he didn't. There wasn't a competition. There wasn't one at all. He didn't beat anybody. The only person he beat was having you behind him like, oh, we love Jake. We love Jake. There was no competition. He didn't beat anybody. Like, this can't happen. This cannot happen. It's so upsetting. Like, I should not be on the edge of my seat being like, he's going to miss it. Why watch the TV? Like, you know he's going to miss the kick every time he goes out there. Every time.
Yeah, no, it's not good. And just wait till week 3 when the Niners make their Levi's Stadium debut here in 2025. He trots out.
Man.
He trots out before he even makes a kick. I guarantee you it will at least be like a mixed greeting of, cheers or maybe nothing and boos. Not everyone in the stadium will be booing, but there will be boos before he even makes a kick. And oh, by the way, remember how the game began? This is not a field goal, and this is a thing that's going to get swept under the rug because he missed a field goal and another one was blocked, and the chip shot he made, like if it's from 10 yards further out, it probably misses that one wide to the right because he pulled that one after hooking the other one. What goes under the radar is with the new updated kickoff return rules, Sterling, you don't kick the ball into the end zone because then they take an automatic fair catch. They get the ball at the 35-yard line. The 35-yard line. You want to kick it between the 5 and the 0, between the 10 and the goal line. That's where you're aiming as a kicker now. And the first kick of the regular season for Jake Moody goes into the end zone. Easy fair catch for the Seahawks. They get the ball at the 35. They get one easy completion to Jackson Smith and Jigba for like 20 yards. They're already across the 50 after one completion. Like, it's not just as simple as is he making his field goals or is he missing. It's also the other things. And those cost you big chunks of yards, and that also was an issue in today's game. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We got, I'm going to run through a couple of these calls, and then we got Kyle Shanahan's post-game comments that we want to get to before the top of the hour at 6 o'clock. So let's get through some of these calls, and then we will hear everything Shanahan said post-game in Seattle. Up next is Eric in San Francisco who wants to weigh in. What's up, Eric? You're on overtime on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, guys. Well, that was a heart-racing win, and I'm going to preface my main comment. Yeah, I'm going to preface my main comment with saying you could make a case, an equal case, that the Niners could have won this game with a lot more ease if Moody makes his kicks and Purdy doesn't loft the ball in that pass breakup by Wolin. And you could make the case that they should have lost this game because the touchdown at the end, if Wolin isn't just completely asleep at the wheel, he picks that ball off 9 times out of 10. Because Pongus made a great play for a guy who had zero career receptions coming into the game. But the gist of my comment is I think Kyle Shanahan's hubris is ultimately going to be the downfall of this team from a macro sense of what the team is trying to accomplish, which is at least advance multiple rounds in the playoffs and hopefully contend for a Super Bowl. And what I mean by that is Shanahan has more than admitted once he doesn't really want to think about special teams. And so how many games have the 49ers lost since Jake Moody's been the kicker that they've lost because of special teams, either on punt coverage, kickoff coverage, or Moody missing kicks? Probably I'd say 8 games, 9 games, something like that. I mean,
it felt like every game
over a
last season.
3-season period. Yeah. And secondly, he has this crazy philosophy of not investing in the offensive line. And if you go back to the Super Bowl, Ayuk makes the touchdown catch if Burford doesn't blow the blocking assignment. And again, I'm not saying keeping Aaron Banks at the price that he was at was a good idea, but we don't invest in the offensive line. So Purdy was under fire all day today. And, I think that besides the wide receivers being out, him being under fire were part of the reasons why there were some forced throws. And it's I don't know how many times he has to get burned by special teams, specifically Moody, and not investing in the offensive line. I mean, the Chiefs' offensive line gets blown up in the Super Bowl. What do? They draft an offensive tackle with their first-round pick after spending a second-round pick on an offensive tackle last year. Like, if you're going to get a good tackle, 9 times out of 10, it's going to come in the first round. Now, you can get guards later, but also a good center is essential in today's modern NFL with the various looks on pass rush, the ability to change out of pass protections, and good teams have good centers. And I don't know, I'm not, Brendel's okay. I wouldn't really put him in the top third of centers in the league. So it's like, I just don't understand why he can't learn from past lessons. But ultimately, I think it's going to be the downfall of this team because he doesn't want to think about special teams. And for whatever reason, on player personnel decisions, they refuse to invest in the offensive line.
Yeah.
And
Eric, I think you are, you're speaking my language. I know that. I think Sterling agrees with you a lot as well. He mentioned what Kansas City did after they got dominated in the Super Bowl by the Philadelphia Eagles. Their D-line just absolutely killed them. They did the same thing a handful of years ago when the Buccaneers did the same thing to them, and they go out and they completely revamp their offensive line. Number one, they sign Jalen Moore to a big contract, a contract that, by the way, he does not deserve. He has not proven that he deserves. And
$15 million per year.
To be their starting left tackle. That was the assumption. And then guess what? They still draft Josh Simmons out of Ohio State with, I think, the second to last pick of the first round.
Yeah,
and he beats out Jalen Moore to be their starting left tackle. They have a rookie starting at left tackle. Now, I know that they lost to the Chargers week 1 in Brazil. They're still a really good football team, of course. It's less about, it's less about who Josh Simmons is and more about the mindset and the philosophy. And as far as that goes, Sterling, I am in lockstep with what our caller was just talking about. On a larger view, on a macro view, I just want to say how honestly nice it is to have a Niners win. And so many of our callers, and I love every single one of our callers, and honestly, I've agreed with almost everything they have said. We're talking about a Niner win, yet we're spending the majority of our overtime, Sterling, talking about everything that went wrong. That just tells me the expectations we have for this team, and ultimately that is a good thing. But all in all, about the offensive line, I 100% agree.
Yeah, we had a couple callers ago say, he believes this team can go to the Super Bowl. And I'm not in that camp. I think this is a 10-win team that goes to the playoffs, hopefully. Yeah, there's a lot that has to be proven to get there, but the fan base has the expectation because that is what this regime has set up for us as fans.
Yeah.
We've been to 2, we've lost 2 in heartbreak fashion, we're going to get to a third one eventually. At least that's the hope. Whether it's this year or next year or 2 years from time, who knows, but the hope is we're going to get there eventually and hopefully bring one back to the Bay. But to have the high expectations, despite the youth and the coaching changes and the differences in this roster compared to 2 years ago, I think the fan base, I don't want you to temper your expectations. I just want you to realize that this team is probably going to disappoint you a little bit more than we all want it to this year. Look, I hope I'm wrong there. But the way, and this goes back into the negativity we're getting, at least of what, the question marks this team has of the offensive line. There's a lack of insulation. Your backup guards this year, and I get it, it's a guard, is a 7th round draft pick and an undrafted free agent.
He got a snap. Connor Colby got a snap on a big, I think it was a big third down, right?
That's because Dominic Puni goes down and we're like, oh, here we go again. Yep. Don't run right if you can. But that's a thin line we have here of hey, you got some all-pros. But behind those all-pros are UDFAs and 7th round draft picks you're hoping can become great players for you. But even your backup center is a guy who was cut last year and you signed to a 2-year contract, who was a guy that got beat on special teams and got the field goal blocked for you. So this fan base has every right to want to bring back a Lombardi trophy. I want to do that. That is my expectation of this regime. This team has too many holes to overcome right now to do that, I think. However, that does not mean you can't play spoiler. That does not mean you can't beat good teams. That does not mean you can't make a push later on in the year. But after week 1, San Francisco wins. We're riding high. We're feeling good. They beat the freaking Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. There was a decade we couldn't say that, and it feels like that's the expectation every single time they go there.
Yeah.
And they're doing it a lot, and that's awesome. And you beat Sam Darnold. You beat Mike McDonald, a defense in which usually holds your offense back. However, the offensive line's a problem. Like, someone's going to get hurt, and you're going to have to play Spencer Burford. They had one tackle as a backup that was active today. That's how thin they are. Like, that is a scary place to be for this Niners roster, already riding on ice to begin the season.
Yeah, and look, as far as, like, the talk of Super Bowl goes, that is, like, 10 weeks too early for me. Like, that's not even on my mind at all. Did this team, week 1, look like a Super Bowl team? No. Does it mean that they can't get a whole lot better and by week 10 look entirely different? Yes, of course they can, but that's not even on my radar at this point. But you are right about the offensive line concerns. I share those with you. 888-957-9570. Rocky is in Vallejo and is up next. Rocky, what's up? What do you got?
What's up, guys? Great show. So my main point is, you kind of already highlighted on it, is that Seattle is a very good team. It's tough to win in Seattle. Their defense last year was top 5 after the bye. This year is going to be top 5. Their D-line is really good. So although our offensive line, I agree with you, is a worry, but we got to remember that they went against a very good defensive line. And Trent Williams obviously didn't play all the preseason, so he was very rusty. So our best all-pro left tackle had a horrible game because it's almost like a preseason game for him. He's only going to get better. Purdy looked a little, because he didn't play a lot in the preseason. He was coming off an injury.
Yep.
He didn't have a great game either. So those two players are only going to ascend. And then the defense. Overall, I'm very happy with the defense. Everyone already highlighted D. Winters, but another guy that I thought that played very well on the defensive line was Calais Davis. This guy is going for a new contract. Obviously, the Niners probably not going to sign him, but he was hurt obviously, and I'm very happy for him. And this is his 3rd or 4th year, and he played a heck of a game. He got the starting position, and I want to highlight that guy. And I think overall the defense is going to be a strong point. CMC won us the game. Let's be honest about it. CMC was the guy. And then I'll take your comments off the air. Thank you.
Appreciate the call, Rocky. I'm glad you shouted out Calais Davis. He did get the start. The Niners on the defensive line went Nick Bosa, Jordan Elliott, Calais Davis, and Mykel Williams. First game action we got to see of Mykel Williams, the rookie out of Georgia. Didn't really pop to me on first watch. I go back and watch again. I'll probably keep a more of an eye on Mykel Williams specifically. We saw some Alfred Collins. Did we see C.J. West at all in this game, Sterling?
I think he was in on the second drive, but nothing really stood out of the defensive line. It felt like it was a big clog.
Yeah.
There was a lot of holes early, but they closed them late, so that's kind of all I took away from the defensive line today.
Yeah, the big play Calais Davis made was in the second quarter. Seattle backed up pretty good after a good Morstead punt, and Walker runs it up the middle. Calais Davis just absolutely runs right past the right guard and makes a nice tackle for a loss of 3. Calais Davis, a really nice play there. He's trying to capitalize on some thin defensive tackle positions for the 49ers. And in terms of veterans, it is very, very thin, and he's one to benefit from that. Let's keep it rolling here on the phone lines. We got Kyle Shanahan coming up in a little bit. We'll probably get to that after we take a break at the top of the hour. We'll hear Kyle Shanahan right at about 6:05 here on Overtime on 95.7 The Game. His full press conference after the game in Seattle, that's coming up. We'll be with you until 7 o'clock here on Overtime tonight on 95.7 The Game. But up next is Nathan in Belmont, who wants to talk about the Niners offense. Nathan, what's up? You're on Overtime on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, guys. No, I think a lot of people were, still in thunder here, of course. I mean, everyone's pretty much showing on the same thing because every smart football fans know you can have all the skilled players you want and your quarterback can be paid a lot of money. But if your offensive line is getting pushed around and guys are in the backfield, it's going to be tough for this offense to get off track. I felt optimistic about what I saw from Pearsall. I think actually that the optimism from this means that if we get skilled players back, hopefully it kills not out too much. They actually have some good pieces on the skill on that, as far as the receivers go. But the way they played today, at least early on, this defense is going to have to carry this team for some time before I think the full potential of this offense can be on track, because they just weren't sharp on offense. And I think that tends to happen a lot in early season football games, even for a guy like Kyle Shanahan, where things just look good one time and then the next another time. But of course, Purdy himself, definitely, he's just got to be better. And you just don't, I think I know no one's going to be harder on himself than he is. So still, it's a machine that's got a lot of work to do. But hopefully they can hold the fort until things get going for the full potential.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Nathan. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, Sterling, and you brought up the contract Purdy signed. That obviously changes expectations, and when it comes to blame and all of that. But we take a step back and realize, all right, 1 year without Ayuk to begin. Everything that we're talking about with the offensive line is true. The running game struggled really all game long. I mean, McCaffrey averaged just over 3 per carry. That is rare with a Christian McCaffrey run game. Purdy was under pressure often. The number of times that he dropped back to pass and had a clear pocket seems, maybe I could count on one hand. It was not all that often. And then you lose Kittle early. You also lose Juwan Jennings. I know Purdy is paid as an elite quarterback, and that is very, very present in our minds. But there was a lot of issues everywhere around Purdy in today's game. Does not excuse specifically that second interception that he threw. But when we are evaluating the quarterback, we do have to be honest with ourselves about what was happening around him. And what was happening around him was not good for the most part.
No, you're right. It wasn't good. And look, there were some throws that Brock Purdy did make in this game that deserved to be highlighted. Again, the big touchdown or the big play to Pearsall that led to a touchdown to Tungus, which may have been some luck, but somebody has to throw that football and give a guy an opportunity, right? So you want your quarterback making those plays, because if it was Kittle, we all would say, wow, what a great play, Purdy and Kittle, and who cares?
He just trusted his guy. Yeah.
Right. And so in this case, you can't forget the history of Brock Purdy. He does these things where he'll just give a guy a chance because he believes that guy can make a play, in which sometimes he's right and sometimes he's wrong. Thankfully today he was right more often than not. But there also was some plays I think Purdy could have made he didn't make. That throw on the right hash mark or the right pylon to Pearsall that was a fingertip away from being a touchdown, that's a play you have to make. I know it's tough. It's one sideline to the other. You have to make that play. I get it. You have a 6'4" defensive back guarding your guy, but that is a play that they make 9 times out of 10. That is a play we have seen Purdy make before in Seattle last year to George Kittle. If that throw is zipped to him further towards the sideline, that's touchdown. And I get it. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. This team this year may be defined by that motto or that statement. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. What could you have done on this play to help change the outcome? And I think for Purdy, the one aspect I would praise him more today than maybe his arm, I thought he was phenomenal extending plays with his legs, scrambling for first downs, extending drives, utilizing his mobility. That is one aspect Brock Purdy has always been great at that no one really ever kind of highlights of him. He may himself say he's not a mobile quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback. Yeah. He can get out there, move around as much as Sam Darnold can do, and Darnold is utilized in that way as well. So it was a shaky day. A shaky day from a quarterback you expect better from. I also wonder, there was a jump throw in this game. Purdy's height seemed to be a problem against
jump throw was
the Seahawks
so weird.
defense. And it's I don't know if Purdy's too short, but something felt off of Purdy can't see. Maybe he didn't see a quadruple cover wide receiver. Maybe he didn't see Brian Robinson via a jump throw in the first half. It was what's going on? There's no way Kyle drew that up for Brock Purdy.
That jump throw was weird. I'm glad you brought up the Pearsall pylon throw that was knocked away at the last second. I don't necessarily mean to feed in, because this is one of the things that a lot of Brock Purdy haters will just kind of spew 24/7, no matter the context, and they'll say, well, he doesn't have elite arm strength, right? He doesn't have the strongest arm. And yes, that's true. Does Brock Purdy have, 99th percentile arm strength in the NFL? No, of course not. Now, there's plenty of examples of quarterbacks that can throw the ball a country mile, but suck. Like, that is their best attribute. They don't have the stuff that Purdy has, which is recognition and timing and accuracy. The ability to just unleash a cannon is obviously helpful, and specifically helpful in that moment. Now, I will say where Purdy has to be better than others that have a stronger arm is he has to be better at anticipation and throwing to guys before they make their break, and leading guys and throwing them open. And on that specific throw, which is from the left hash all the way across the field to the right pylon, that is an incredibly difficult throw to make. Yes, and what makes it more difficult is if you can't get enough zip on the ball, you have to throw it a beat earlier than the others do. And for Purdy in that moment, he did not throw it quick enough, and he did not have enough zip on it, allowing the DB to get back to it and knock it away at the very last second. So again, I'm not saying that you need elite arm strength to be a good quarterback. There's so many examples of that not being the case. But the reality with Purdy, Sterling, is that he does not have that elite arm strength, and a quarterback that does might make that, might make that a touchdown. Now, Purdy also threw it with pretty good accuracy and threw it just a tiny bit late. But when you don't have that elite arm strength, it just means you have to be more accurate and you have to throw with more anticipation. And he just did not quite throw it early enough to get that one in there.
Which, again, it goes back to kind of the main talking point of the entire season. Your margin for error is so thin. One throw, we could have said you're in the red zone, you make that touchdown play, you win the game. Now, they won anyways, and that's cool. Like, we can look past that throw and say it didn't matter when it was all said and done. But, there was points in this game that, while you play 60 minutes for a reason, and there's coaching and there's offensive line, there's so many matchups happening with, the game within the game, right? But we were inches away from leaving this game with a sour taste in our mouth because some of the plays Brock Purdy made. And I don't want to hate on Brock Purdy. I like Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy deserves that contract. He's played so freaking well the last couple years. He's earned every bit of that contract that he got from San Francisco in the offseason. But, like I said earlier, with that contract comes higher expectations. If the fan base believes the team, or part of the fan base believes the team should go to the Super Bowl, the expectation for the quarterback is to lead us to the Super Bowl, not be the reason we almost lose games in Seattle week 1 in a game that the opposing team only scored 13 points. Like, if you tell any quarterback, the best quarterback, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, or the worst one, Daniel Jones, Spencer Rattler, the worst guys in football.
Daniel Jones was like the best quarterback in football today.
All right, it's Shane Steichen. Don't get confused. But you tell those guys the opposing team's only going to score 13 points. They'd say, sign me up.
Yes.
I can win that game for you. So I just think we have to have more from Brock. He has to be a reason this team win games because the contract and because you've shown you can do that in the past. Guys are hurt. Somebody has to step up. Why not your $53 million quarterback? Yes. They won. At the end, he did, but you can avoid needing the late game heroics if you play better early in games like this.
Yeah, no doubt. He's got to be better. I mean, today was not his best day. He also made, as you laid out earlier, a lot of really nice plays and nice throws, a couple of just, boneheaded decisions that really hurt, but it did not hurt the Niners in the win column. They get the win. 17-13 is the final in Seattle in week 1. A huge division win. Niners 1-0, Rams 1-0, Cardinals 1-0. The Rams, they beat the Texans. The Cardinals, they beat the Saints. Those are the Niners' next two opponents, Saints and then Cardinals. Meanwhile, the Seahawks, of course, they were on the wrong side of the game versus the Niners today. Okay, time for a break. Dre and Lamore, I see you on hold. I want to give you enough time. I didn't want to squeeze you in right there, so hang out on hold through the break. When we come back, first thing we'll do is go right to you, Dre, and then we'll hear from Kyle Shanahan, who addressed the media in Seattle after the Niners' 17-13 win. It's overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy, Sterling Bennett with you for one more hour until 7 o'clock. We're back with more next on Overtime on 95.7 The Game.
NFL fans, Week 1 is your shot to play free and stack $1 million cash bag with DraftKings Pick 6, an official partner of the NFL. Here's how. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, DraftKings' easiest way to play fantasy. Enter for free and pick more or less on 6 player stats for Week 1. Share your link with friends and add more cash to the bag and get bonus shots to win. Hit all 6 picks and you'll be splitting a bag that's already at $1 million or more. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code THEGAME. Opt in for free and start stacking entries for NFL Week 1. Zero cost, huge upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. Must claim token for free entry in Bag Builder contest. Only perfect entries earn share of cash prize. Tokens are single use and expire September 8th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Now it's time for the closer of the week. Presented by LiftMaster and R&S Doors. Turn your garage into the envy of the neighborhood. Visit rsdoors.com.
This week's closer comes from Monica from Delano. A big shout out to Israel and Angel N at R&S for coming out to Caliber Collision in Delano and repairing our shop doors. These guys were so kind, friendly, and very professional. I definitely recommend these guys.
Recently, my garage door opener was not working. I was in need of a closer. I was put in touch with R&S Doors and they hooked me up with a brand new garage door opener from LiftMaster. With LiftMaster's MyQ connectivity, my garage door opener can be controlled right from my smartphone. You'll know when a door or gate has been left open and can close it with a tap, no matter where I am. Be one of the first 10 callers and receive 20% off a LiftMaster garage door opener.
Call 1-800-FIX-A-DOOR. That's 800-FIX-A-DOOR. Or visit rsdoors.com. R&S Doors. Look for the red truck.
A strong heart. A steady stride. A life full of milestones. El Camino Health is here for you. From advanced heart and vascular care that keeps you on beat, to expert orthopedic treatments that keep you moving, and innovative cancer care that fights alongside you. With expert care for women, men, and new moms. Supporting you through every chapter of your health, because every life we touch is built on trust and compassion. El Camino Health. Our strength, your health.
We finally switched to T-Mobile because with them, we can be connected here and there.
Let's watch a movie.
And we have Netflix included to enjoy our favorite shows and movies.
¿Qué tal esta? Bacanísima, pero ya la vi.
Now the hard part is getting them to agree on a movie.
Switch today and get the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Plus with Galaxy AI, all on the best network in the U.S. Visit a store, T-Mobile.com, or call 1-800-T-Mobile. 1-800-T-Mobile. Best mobile network in the U.S. based on analysis by Ookla. Speed Test Intelligence Data 1H 2025.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast!
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Bring home the all-new Naked Gun on digital now. See Liam Neeson like never before as Frank Draven Jr. as he leads the police squad in this outrageous comedy. Rated PG-13 from Paramount Pictures. For a chance to win a digital copy, visit the contest page at 957thegame.com.
As a scientist, I can tell you that Sundays are only 24 hours long. But with NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get every game every Sunday all in one place. That's upwards of 30 hours of NFL in one day. How can there be 30 hours in 24 hours, you ask? I have a theory. Magic. New users get NFL Sunday Ticket for 8 payments of $34.50 per month. Sign up at NFLSundayTicket.com. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games and commercial use. Terms and embargoes apply. Availability varies.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. K-A-R-S Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WEBNOW1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
He swinged out into the end zone, wasn't open. Purdy keeping it alive. Brock Purdy lofts one. It is Tonjes. Touchdown, San Francisco. Jake Tonjes, who had never caught a pass in the NFL, has caught 3 today, including the go-ahead touchdown with 1:34 left. Wow.
Now back to Overtime. Instant reaction to the game with Mark Grandy and Sterling Bennett. We are the Bay Area's football station. 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. Mark Grandy, Sterling Bennett with you on Overtime. Sterling, I don't know what was running through your head on that touchdown play that we just heard Joe Davis and Greg Olson call on Fox. For me, it was no. Oh, God, no. Oh, yes. Touchdown. The fact that play happened while both George Kittle and Juwan Jennings, like your two best contested jump ball catchers, are not in the game. I don't know if miracle is probably too strong, but I gave that chance of like that pass, the percentage chance of that being completed to a Niner like 5%, and it happened. My goodness.
If you would have told me this year, and I think you already said this, that Jake Tonjes, a roster bubble player, the third tight end on the roster coming into the game, would have caught a game-winning catch in which George Kittle gets hurt mid-game. The offense is not putting the ball in the end zone, and he's a definitive touchdown to separate you from a loss to a win. I would have said, what fantasy world do you live in? What fan fiction is this? Like keep me away from any world that like no way. But yes, to your point, it was a no. Yes, I can't believe this happened. The words that left my mouth are probably not radio friendly, so I'm not going to say them. Yeah. But my wife was like, "Why are you yelling?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Why am I yelling?"
just caught the game-winning touchdown.
If there's any other reason to yell, it is because Jake Tonjes caught the game-winning touchdown. So it was a lively day in the Bennett house about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the Pacific Coast.
Yeah, it was. 888-957-9570. We will hear from Kyle Shanahan coming up in just moments. I'm sure that he addressed that play, that game-winning touchdown by Jake Tonjes, Purdy to Tonjes. We'll get to that in just a sec. But as promised, Dre in Lemoore has been very patient. Dre, we appreciate you hanging out. You're on Overtime with Grandy and Sterling. What do you got for us, Dre?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if I wasn't waiting to get on the phone, I'd be listening to the show anyways. You guys throw a great show.
Thank you, man. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Back. You're welcome. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Anyway, last year, this game, our 49ers would have lost.
Yep.
Especially towards the end of the year. Especially everybody that went down. It was unfortunate that Kittle got hurt, but we're very fortunate to know we got two backups that stepped it up today. And I do agree with one of you that said, or maybe it was a caller, I don't know, about 9 times out of 10, maybe that I can't remember the name of the tight end who did snag that ball.
Jake Tonjes.
But that was an interception. He snagged that ball, and he stole it. That was a great play. You know, it'd be nice to have a second and third tight end that we can rely on because, you know, we have one of the best in the league. I have to agree with you guys and some other callers that our offensive line, one of the guys said it was Shanahan's hubris. You know, he can do it without it. But I think the best draft we had in years for offensive line was when we got Davis and Ayupati. That really solidified that line. That's been over 10 years, I'm sure. So, but this year I can see why they didn't draft an offensive line because people were just running on our defense like there was at will last year. So they had to do something. So next year I would like to see at least the first 3 picks be on the offensive line. It's not a science, but you got to draft early to get good 9 out of 10 times on that. You guys, I was listening on the app, so I don't know how far off. Sometimes it could be 20 minutes, and sometimes it could be right on. But what I first heard was you guys talking Moody, and was it both of you that are saying he needs to be replaced tonight?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I have zero confidence in him going forward, Dre.
I do as well. I mean, he's a head case. I've been rooting for him. I want him to do well. And the thing was, going into this season, it's not if he's going to lose a game for us, it's when he's going to lose a game for us. And we were very fortunate that that game was not lost for our Niners. I don't like saying us because I'm not part of the team. But for our Niners, we were very fortunate, us Niner fans, to win that game despite Moody. It's time to sign Joseph. He's available. The next best. That's pretty much all I got, except Pearsall seems to be a stud. I know you guys can care less about my fantasy team, but I'm going to be starting him from here on out. He sat the bench. And, hey, guys, go Niners.
Yes, sir, Dre. Appreciate the call. And, yeah, I mean, Ricky Pearsall looking like a pretty good pick in fantasy. Just to close the door on the offensive line conversation, Sterling, it's what we mentioned earlier. I think Dre's head is in the right spot. I don't think it necessarily is an issue of what they drafted this year. Because, like, if you're looking at what the Niners' issues were, and I think we could rightly say offensive line and defensive line were both issues, and they needed to be addressed. It's rare generally, and maybe you could say this the same for the defensive line, although I think it's more rare for the offensive line. It's rare to have a rookie step in and just immediately turn things around for you on the offensive line. Now, Dominic Puni did that last year at right guard. Now, guard is different than tackle. Now, the Niners, I think, need help at, frankly, every spot other than right guard where Puni is. They need a good backup for Trent Williams, and I don't feel great about Barch at left guard, Brendel at center, or McKivitz at right tackle. So there could be issues all over the place, but I don't have an issue with the Niners draft this year, Sterling. I don't have an issue with the focus on the defensive line and the defense in general. If you include, the defensive backs, you include Siegel and you include Nick Martin, the linebacker, I don't have an issue with that. My concern and my issue is instead of drafting offensive linemen in third rounds in the past, you drafted tight ends that never played a regular season snap for you, and you drafted kickers that we all now want off the team. You drafted running backs that you trade away a couple of years later or that never pan out for you. It was, for me, it's a not entirely like the tenure of the Shanahan, the length of Shanahan's tenure, but it's I think it's a miscalculation of the last 5 years, not just this past offseason, that has led us to a point where we're looking at a questionable at best offensive line that is backed up by people that we have zero confidence in, and there's nobody behind those guys.
Yeah, you are completely right. It's not a mismanagement of this past year's draft class. In fact, I think for a one regular season game, this draft class looks awesome. Now, we don't know the exact box scores or the PFF scores, or we haven't gotten to the tape just yet because it isn't out yet. All you've seen is the actual game broadcast. But, Micah Williams for one game wasn't terrible. The run defense, I thought, was far, miles away better than what it was last year, to a point of you did slow down an offense that wanted to run the football on you, and you made them and forced them to pass the football throughout the game to extend their drives in which they couldn't. You forced takeaways, you forced turnovers, you had 2 rookie starters in your secondary. One of them recovered a massive fumble that helped the Seahawks not score and put your offense back into place to get some points on the board. So I think this year's draft class, which 10 of them made the roster, 1 of them's on your practice squad, 1 of them's on the NFI list, and you got a UDFA. There's some youth on this roster I think a lot of fans should be happy about. And today on defense, knowing you brought Salah back to give them the keys to the draft, I think a lot of fans, I know we're talking defense and how great it was. The youth on this defense, even D. Winters to a point, they were big difference makers in this game, where you're talking about bridging a gap to get to the next great era of Niners football or extend this one. These young defensive players are going to be a part of that, and I think this draft class had a great debut for what it was. Obviously, you want more from guys. You want to see Jordan Watkins out there, wide receiver. You want to see Jordan James in the backfield, but from what we saw on defense, 2 thumbs up from me. That defense won them the game, and this draft class was a big part of it.
Yeah, and they're only going to get better as every week passes. All right, let's hear from Kyle Shanahan, who addressed the media postgame in Seattle. Niners win over the Seahawks in week number 1, 17-13. Issues on special teams. Again, red zone struggles. George Kittle and Juwan Jennings leave the game. We're going to hear updates on that, plus a whole lot more. Here is Kyle Shanahan post-game in Seattle. Everything that he said to the media after the Niners win.
Injuries from the game. George Kittle had a hamstring, didn't return. Juwan Jennings, shoulder, same thing. Samo got evaluated for concussion, but he ended up returning. Go ahead. No. I mean, we got to get the MRIs and everything tomorrow to find out.
Trent was out for a little bit as well, Trent Williams.
Mm-hmm. But he came back. He was good.
Was it ankle or?
They didn't tell me.
You got a good look at that deep ball to Pearsall. He seemed to vary his speed, and that kind of allowed him to get open. Is that part of that route, or is that him improvising? What did you see on that play?
It was a double move. We ran it earlier in the I want to say maybe the 2nd, 3rd down of the game, and then we just came back with a double move on it. Ran a real good route, and Brock threw a good ball. Must have had good protection on the play because it takes a while to do.
On the touchdown there, Brock, is that just a regular scramble kind of drill? And
yeah, that was just breaking out. I mean, I was looking to the left on the play that we were calling, and they weren't there, and I take my eyes to the right, and Brock's breaking the pocket, and when he threw that up, I couldn't see it at all. I didn't know if he was throwing it away. I didn't know if it was a pick, but our guys on the sideline started cheering, so it ended well.
what does it mean that you have guys out and a guy like Jake Tom just makes a touchdown catch to win a game?
Oh, it was huge. I mean, it wasn't just that catch, but both of those tight ends, him and Luke, and Juice picking it up. Losing Kittle in that game was big for us. I mean, it was a huge part of the game plan, as you guys saw earlier. Had to mix some guys around, and those guys just stepped up big, man, and especially to end it with the game winner.
But with everything that went on, missed field goals, guys getting hurt, to win this game, what does that mean? I
was just so happy with our team. I mean, there was a lot of adversity in that game that we had to overcome. Offense, defense, special teams, a number of injuries, those 2 turnovers, being able to get 2 to even it out and still find a way to win. I was real proud of our team. That was our first game together, and didn't like everything, but I liked how our guys played. I liked the attitude. They never wavered, and I expect us to get better as we go. Just from as a whole, I thought they slowed them down enough, kept them out of the end zone enough for us to win. Thought we gave up a number of big plays, especially at the end of the half, the second quarter. There at the end, just for them to get all the way into the red zone before we got that turnover back. So hopefully we'll clean some of that stuff up, but I liked how they played overall.
Special teams and Jake Tom.
Well, obviously, I was disappointed that we missed 2 field goals. I mean, we missed one, which was a big miss, especially I think we were inside the 10. I want to say it was 27-yarder. The next one, Love made a hell of a move. I think it was Love. Splitting that D-gap. Looked like he jumped over the guys. I saw it on the scoreboard. But we got to clean up that protection. That's everyone there. That one wasn't Jake. That's just the whole operation. But, yeah, we got to do better.
You went for it on 4th several times, so was that just we're not going to kick a field goal if I can help it?
I don't think so. I mean, I want to say they were 4th and 2. So I don't think that changed it. I mean, would have kicked it if it was more than that.
Is Jake in any question? Is that kicker in any question in your mind whether he's going to be back with the team?
No question.
How pleased were you that Christian was able to go today and that he was able to be as impactful as he was?
What's that?
How pleased were you that Christian was healthy, able to go today?
Real pleased. I mean, we got a scare on Thursday, but started feeling much better about it Friday and Saturday, and I didn't get to talk to him about it. It seemed like it wasn't an issue, but he had a hell of a game, man. It was awesome to have him out there.
What can you say about Brock's poise and ability to come out and win that at the end?
It's huge. I mean, there were some big plays at the end. I mean, we were back and forth, and it kept getting tighter and tighter. And to make that big play to Ricky, to get the explosive to get us down there, and that play he made on 4th down was huge. I think the biggest one in the drive was him going across the whole board on a progression. I mean, just a tough deal to do for a quarterback. And I don't know if he hit, I think it was Jake Tonjes, a low ball on the other side that kept the drive going and played really well there.
Fred Warner, after he got hit, was out for just a little bit, but did he seem even more, I guess, feisty or angry after the nose issue?
I don't know. He always seems feisty and angry, so I don't think he can be much more than he always is.
What did you see on the Purdy interceptions? I know 2 separate plays, but was he forcing it a little bit, at least on the second one?
I didn't think so. I mean, I thought both of the guys made really good plays. We had a high-low going. They ran a good blitz and took Christian out so that backer could really drop under it. I've seen Brock a lot of times lob that over the guy. The guy was deep, so you'd love to say check it down, but they ran a blitz, so Christian wasn't there. But I thought that guy made a hell of a play. I mean, obviously at the end of it, yeah, don't throw it, but I thought it was a pretty good play by that guy. And the end to Ricky, that was man coverage. The guy was tight on him, but he gave Rick an opportunity. And I didn't have much problem with that, but I'd much rather, worst case scenario on all those, I always tell the receiver it should be offensive PI, not a pick. So hopefully Ricky can make sure that's not a pick next time.
What was your view and emotion when you saw Osa recover the fumble and seal it?
Just took a breath, was relieved, pumped up. Then I got to watch out for all the big guys who try to knock me out on the sideline to celebrate after it. They always get much more aggressive than me. But I was pumped. I mean, in those 2-minute situations, you want to go tee off on the quarterback. And from what I saw, it was an awesome job, not just running past him, allowing him to step up. He got to the top. I think he came back underneath. And I don't know if he knocked it out or not, but I don't know. Did you guys see it? Did he hit it out or did it just slip?
Kind of pushed the tackle back into the
Yeah. No, it was huge. And just to finish it right there, we don't have to worry about what else would happen.
What was going through your mind just before Jake Tonjes made that catch in the end zone when the ball was in the air?
Well, when the ball was in the air, I was blocked, so I had no idea where it was going. So I was just hoping it wasn't a turnover, and then I was getting ready to decide if I was going to make another call or send the field goal out there.
Another young guy that was involved in that was Marquis Siegel. He led the team in tackles by halftime. What did you see from him?
I saw him running around making a bunch. I see less out there than I do in the preseason and stuff, getting ready for the next series. So pumped to watch him on the plane, but it looked like he was flying around and making some good plays.
Where do things stand between the 49ers and Kendrick Bourne? Is that something that you're still monitoring?
Yeah, and I know he hasn't signed with one, so I know it's a possibility we can get him. I know we're still trying. Hopefully that can work out.
If Juwan is out for an extended period, do you think that Jordan Watkins is a possibility to be?
I mean, he got back at the end of last week, but so he is a possibility. He's getting closer with him, so we'll see.
When you say there's no question, about Jake Moody's job security, why is that?
Just the way you guys ask it. Right now, I have no question. I'm trying to finish today, and then I'll get on the plane, evaluate stuff, and go back at it.
So we can ask you again.
You guys can ask me every day, and I'll answer how I am right at that moment.
I know it's a different year, but this is the kind of game that you did not win last season. Does that strike you at all that this is a different kind of feeling, different kind of team than it was last year?
Not really. I'm so, I feel like in our building, in our meetings, just talking to the guys, I think we started out trying not to make comparisons to other teams. Like, we're trying to not have this year be tied to any other year from the past. And I think we started out that way, talking that way, but I think it's become that way. I don't think we're thinking much about that right now, and we've been working to do that. And I think a game like this makes it easier to do that too, because you're right. I mean, they finished that. That was one that could have gone either way, especially after the missed field goal, the block, the 2 turnovers, and a few of the big injuries in that game. So for us to still find a way to close out that and win, I was real proud of this year's team, and hope we'll be back at it next week ready to go.
All right, that's Kyle Shanahan post-game in Seattle after the Niners knock off the Seahawks by a final score of 17-13. Welcome back to Overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Mark Grandy, Sterling Bennett with you. Sterling, some of the most important pieces from Kyle Shanahan there. Number one, the injuries. George Kittle with the hamstring and Juwan Jennings with a shoulder. They're both going to undergo further testing, including MRIs. Shanahan was non-committal when asked about severity of the injury, if they're going to miss time. Just said, well, we're going to have to wait and see with the testing and an MRI. So we will wait and see the results of those. And then one of the other big ones, I guess there's a couple other ones. One, the Niners are still actively trying to sign Juwan Jennings. Kyle Shanahan said that. He hasn't signed any. Kendrick Bourne. And I was thinking of Juwan Jennings because Juwan Jennings' injury maybe gives the Niners a little bit better bargaining chip with Kendrick Bourne and say, well, you're going to have a bigger role potentially, at least early on. If that is the case, Kendrick Bourne is still out there, and it does seem like Shanahan and the Niners are still interested. And then the other, and this is what you were pointing out, the first answer Shanahan gave to the Jake Moody question was, quote, there's no question that he will remain the Niners kicker. And then there was a follow-up question, and he added that response, there's no question he's our kicker, that response was how he feels, quote, right now. And then he said he will get on the plane and evaluate again later. And next time that the Niners media asks that question of Shanahan, maybe he'll have a different answer. So he did leave it open. I will put it that way, is not nowhere near as sure as he sounded the first time he answered that question, saying no question about it, he will be our kicker going forward. He did leave open the window for the Niners to move on from him. It did seem like, Sterling.
I don't know about you, Mark, but the minute he missed the first PAT, I was done. Nope.
It was a field goal. It was an easy field goal, but it was a field goal. Yeah.
Right. But okay, so you missed your first kick. I'm done. Like, we gave you a leash. We said, okay, let's see how it works. And Jake has to prove he can do this, not give us a reason to want to cut him. We have every reason to want to cut Jake Moody. The team has every reason to cut Jake Moody. And it's so baffling because I understand being stubborn on a quarterback you drafted. You're trying to find your guy. You have every reason as a head coach, a GM, to go out and get your guy. You see, head coaches get fired, new guy comes in, they want to cut the current guy and get their guy in the building that fits their offense. Happens all the time. I get it. You want to be stubborn on finding your quarterback. This is a kicker. You can find kickers anywhere. I can go to the local market and be like, hey, you want a kick? And there'll be like 5 guys saying, I'll try. That's where things stand. To a point of, I don't need you to go and find the best kicker in the entire world.
Yeah.
I just need you to find a guy that can adequately offer us less than 1 miss a game this year. If you can give me 25 for 24, or 24 for 26, or you can give me 28 for 32, I'll take it. 4 missed kicks all year, sign me up. We are on pins and needles every second Jake Moody walks out there. And I get it. We've said it the last month and a half, it feels like. Jake Moody should get cut. He should get released. To see Kyle Shanahan on the sideline today after Jake Moody missed that first kick, he was irate. He threw his hands in the air. He was yelling something. At what point does the bow break and Kyle admit, John Lynch admit, the Niners admit that we can no longer put ourselves through the agony of letting this man be this secret agent that dooms us throughout the year? He's a sleeper cell. Like what else could he be?
Yeah, in court, the onus is on the side trying to prove guilt. You're innocent until proven guilty. If you fail to prove guilt, even if it seems like the guy is guilty, like he did it. Like, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the guy is guilty. The onus is on is on Jake Moody. It's not the other way around. The onus is on Jake Moody to prove to us that he is a good kicker. Because the evidence right now is suggesting the other. And the onus should not be on the Niners to have to wait and make a decision. The decision should have already been made. And the fact that the Niners had to take themselves out of a training camp competition because of all the other injuries to the roster is one of the biggest, issues that this team is facing right now, because they were, Jake Moody was just handed the job without having to actually win it in the first place. And you felt like this was the first year where he had to actually go out and earn it. Because, as a rookie, you're the 3rd-round draft pick. You're starting. If you're not starting, you might get fired as a head coach. You draft a kicker in the 3rd round and you don't start him, like, okay, yeah, you're starting the rookie 3rd-round kicker. And as a rookie, he was not terrible by any stretch. No, I don't think many people were saying he cannot be the starter going into year 2. He started year 2, and then he was the worst starting kicker in the NFL. And now it's like, okay, the shine of the 3rd-round pick, the politics of a high draft pick have worn off. You now have to earn that. And because of all the other injuries, the Niners needed an extra roster spot in training camp that they said, you know what? It sucks because we really wanted a training camp competition, but we have to cut Greg Joseph. And so now Jake Moody, the job is yours. That's not the way that this should play out. Jake Moody was handed the starting job, yet the onus should still be on him to prove that he is right for this job. And at this point, he's done nothing to prove to me, to you, to any Niner fan that he is right for this job. Okay, we got more to get into. We got to sneak in a break. When we come back, more time for your calls if you want to weigh in at 888-957-9570. Plus, Nick Bosa. We got to hear from Bosa and some others. We'll do that when we come back. We're with you for 30 more minutes on Overtime. It's Mark, Randy, Sterling Bennett with you. Back with more next on 95.7 The Game.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
When back to the office means back in traffic.
Vehicle that smacked into the guardrail.
Turn to the traffic leader, KCBS.
But word of a crash there.
Act fast. Get your new Honda Prologue before the $7,500 federal EV tax credit expires September 30th. Brought to you by your Northern California Honda dealers.
Stand Up to Cancer's vehicle donation program makes it easy to turn your unwanted vehicle into funding to support innovative cancer research. This research leads to new treatments for patients right now. Donate your car today. Visit standuptocancer.org/cars to learn more.
If you're 55 or older and into that whole saving money thing, T-Mobile has an exclusive phone and internet bundle just for you. Right now, get 2 unlimited phone lines plus 5G home internet for just $30 each per month with AutoPay, plus taxes and fees. And with 5G home internet, setup is easy with just one cord and no technician needed, which is great if you're also into that whole keeping it simple thing. Switch now and experience the best mobile network in the U.S. Visit your local store to start saving. T-Mobile, it's better over here.
Based on analysis by Ookla of speed test intelligence data Q4 2024 to Q1 2025, Ookla trademarks used under license. Unlimited on our network. Customers on voice plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using more than 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video streams and SD on this plan. Home internet pricing after $20 a monthly bill credit plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com.
All right, team, it's game time. Blue 42, California Ace scratch right on 1.
Wait. What play is that?
Keep up, man. He said play scratchers for the California Lottery. Oh. With the new Los Angeles Chargers, San Francisco 49ers, and Los Angeles Rams scratchers, it's always a great call.
For sure.
On 1. Ready, set, go!
Play the new Game Day Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day.
Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase, play, or claim.
NFL fans, Week 1 is your shot to play free and stack $1 million cash bag with DraftKings Pick 6, an official partner of the NFL. Here's how. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, DraftKings' easiest way to play fantasy. Enter for free and pick more or less on 6 player stats for Week 1. Share your link with friends and add more cash to the bag and get bonus shots to win. Hit all 6 picks and you'll be splitting a bag that's already at $1 million or more. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code THEGAME. Opt in for free and start stacking entries for NFL Week 1. Zero cost, huge upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. Must claim token for free entry in Bag Builder contest. Only perfect entries earn share of cash prize. Tokens are single use and expire September 8th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten. Classics are remixed. Bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
Purdy's given time. Wants it all. Downfield. Pearsall's got it. Ricky Pearsall inside the 25. Biggest play of the day. 45 yards with 2.5 left.
Now back to overtime. Instant reaction to the game with Mark Grandy and Sterling Bennett. We are the Bay Area's football station. 95.7 The Game.
Oh, that was one of the best plays of the game right there, called by Joe Davis on Fox. Deep shot on a double move to Ricky Pearsall and Sterling. When we saw the second angle, the replay of that one, the 45-yard completion from Brock Purdy to Ricky Pearsall down the left sideline, putting the Niners in scoring range in the fourth quarter when they desperately needed to score. My jaw was on the ground. Like that Ricky Pearsall double move. You mentioned it early, Sterling, and welcome back. It's overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Pearsall's not the quickest guy. He didn't run the fastest 40 at the combine. He's not going to just straight up run past a lot of DBs, but he is a hell of a route runner, and that double move he put on the Seattle defensive back, he got open, and then it looked like the DB, was it Bryant? Was it Woolen? I can't remember on that one specifically.
I think it was Woolen.
He kind of lost the ball. Like he was actually kind of there stride for stride. I think it was a really good throw, and Pearsall was probably going to catch it regardless, but he kind of stopped for a second, maybe misread the flight of the ball, and allowed Ricky Pearsall to get even further free and make it an easy catch. But that double move that Ricky Pearsall put on him, man, that was nice, and it's a big reason why the Niners got that 45-yard gain.
A lot of people questioned, including you, Mark, why a wide receiver in the first round 2 years ago?
Yep.
And I get it at the time. You wanted the offensive line. You wanted a defensive player. All that makes sense. This is why.
Yep.
And look, the context, again, year by year can change for Pearsall. It's one game of a 17-week schedule, but we saw the slow breakout kind of peeking around the corner at the end of last year against the Lions and against the Dolphins. We heard all about it during training camp in the preseason, saw it in the preseason for one game or one drive against the Raiders, and we all said, oh, that's what we're talking about. And then today, 4 catches over 100 yards, a big, massive clutch play you need to have your first-round wide receiver make for you in this game. I know we will have to adjust when we learn about the injuries of Kittle and Juwan Jennings, hoping they aren't out for very long. But the fact that we have Ricky Pearsall out there lined out wide, that gives me a ton of confidence because in my head, I think about when Brandon Ayuk comes back, when Demarcus Robinson isn't suspended. How does this passing game look? Could Brock Purdy maybe have the best offensive weaponry he's ever had as a quarterback? That to me comes up in my brain. Like, I don't think that's off the table right now for Purdy to have the best weapons he's ever had in a Niner uniform.
Yeah, I guess that hinges on Ayuk coming back and being good and being close to himself. and it might take a long time. I mean, Jerry Rice was on the morning roast here on 95.7 The Game this past week, and he said when he suffered, again, Ayuk went through kind of the most excruciating knee injury you could go through. Jerry did not go through that, but when he had his serious knee injury, he said it took him not the following year, but the year after that. So it took him essentially 2 years to really feel like himself again. Now, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Jerry's not himself year was still like, I don't know, 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. Jerry's just different. But he did say it took him a long time. It took him 2 years to really feel like himself again. So we shall see there. But if Ayuk does come back and look at least close to what he was a couple of years ago, and Pearsall continues his upward trajectory, and Kittle returns, and McCaffrey stays healthy, then yeah, absolutely. There is no doubt that this unit could be in that conversation. Brock Purdy, post-game today, talking about that deep connection to Ricky Pearsall, that 45-yard completion that put the Niners in position to win the football game. Here's Purdy on the connection with Pearsall.
Yeah, in certain situations, Kyle knows when to take a shot and everything and has a good idea of what defenses do. So, that was a great play call by Kyle, man. And then Ricky executed a great double move on Tariq. And for us to be able to come down with it, the O-line holding their protection and giving us the time to throw a play down the field, it's not easy. But, yeah, we've done that at practice. And but I thought it was huge, man, just for Ricky, to get out there in his first start. And then in a clutch moment like that, do his job and come down with the catch and put us in position to score.
And then here's more Purdy on the work that he and Pearsall put in together in the offseason, and if they feel like that paid off with how today went.
Yeah, 100%. I thought there were some things that, I missed him on, that he did his job really well, and so we're going to go back and continue to grow and build together. But, yeah, man, from him coming in with the right attitude at camp, willing to learn our offense from day one and, be humble as a young player and ask me, hey, as a quarterback, what do you see? What do you need from me? He's done that day in and day out, and he absolutely loves football. So for me as a quarterback, I want to ride with a guy like that and go out and compete and find ways to win. And so I thought today going out there, man, with the position that Kyle put him in to go out and win one-on-one reps and come down with the ball, man, it was pretty awesome to see. So we're going to keep growing together.
That's Purdy post-game on the connection with Ricky Pearsall. Sterling, there's a lot of things to be excited about after watching this game, and we got to see a lot of youngsters play, a lot of rookies play. Maybe top of my list in terms of my excitement for what the rest of the season might bring, it's really seeing what Ricky Pearsall could be, because after what he did today, I mean, I would not be shocked if we have a relatively healthy season for Ricky Pearsall, if we see him turn into a 1,000-yard receiver. Now, in today's NFL, with all the games they play, that's not as meaningful as it once was, but 1,000 yards in your second year in the league, and really for him, kind of his first, just based on time played, that would be impressive, and I'm really excited to see how he develops this year with Purdy.
Yeah, when is the last time San Francisco has had a franchise quarterback and a second-year wide receiver look this good in his first game of the season?
Yeah.
I know San Francisco had Kaepernick and Crabtree, but even then, it's a different offense. They wanted to run the football 35 times a game, and they had Frank Gore and Vernon Davis. It was a different offense, a different NFL. This, to me, gets me really excited. The defense was great, but to know that we now have what seems to be a good quarterback that didn't play great, but a good quarterback you like and hope can be the future of your franchise, but then have a young wide receiver to pair with him, that is a dangerous combo in this day and age in the NFL. Offensive line matters, running backs matter, but you look at the Cincinnati Bengals and they have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Well, today wasn't great for those guys. They win games by themselves. Those guys go out there, despite their terrible defense and offensive line, and win you football games. And obviously, Pearsall's not Jamar Chase and Purdy's not Joe Burrow, but to have a group, a pair like that, in addition to Kittle, the way Pearsall breaks on his routes, he's so crisp, he's so fluid. And to know he finally had a full offseason, essentially, that to me makes the sky the limit for what these guys can do this year for this offense.
Yeah, absolutely. We got time for a couple more of your calls if you want to weigh in. 888-957-9570. Up next is Rolando in Napa, who I know wants to talk about Jake Moody. What's up, Rolando? You're on Overtime with Grandy and Sterling. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'll take a win's a win, but I got a stat for you guys on this for Jake Moody. His last 20 kicks, he's 11 for 20, everybody. 11 for freaking 20. At this point, I think at this point, I'm going to say conspiracy theory. I think Jake Moody has something on Shanahan and Lynch, like case file or some sort like a wiretap. I mean, I'm dead serious. I mean, I'm watching the Buffalo game, guys. 41-year-old Matt Prater. He signed 3 days ago. He was in high school. He just kicked a 23-yard field goal dead in the middle. He was in high school, everybody. He's 41. He kicked a field goal, and our guy can't kick a field goal to hit a broadside of a barn. At this point, man, people saying Justin Tucker. I honestly will call Robbie Gould. They're like, you know what, man, just come back at this point. I mean, why not? I mean, there's got to be somebody better than this guy. I'm like you guys. After first field goal kick, I'm done with him. I'm done.
Yeah. Rolando, I think you speak for a lot of Niner fans, and I'm really glad you brought up the Bills kicking situation. They're playing right now on Sunday Night Football, and as Rolando just said, Matt Prater just kicked a field goal as time expired in the first half. I want to get the exact distance of the kick right. It was a 43-yard field goal, and he hit it perfectly right down the middle. They had to sign Matt Prater, old man Matt, off the streets because they had to put Tyler Bass on IR. They're without their kicker for at least the first 4 weeks of the year. They go out and just sign somebody who's out there, and he's come in and he's made, for the Bills, not one but 2 field goals already. Yeah. He made a 25-yarder earlier and a 43-yarder just moments ago. Like, that's what we're talking about, Sterling. Kicker is one of those positions where unless you have one of the elite guys like Justin Tucker of not last year, but like any of the last decade prior to that, like you don't have a replacement level guy just waiting there on the street. But if you're a bottom half of the league kicker, you're anywhere from 15, 16 to 32, there's not a lot that separates you from the next guy that's just waiting for a job on the streets in the free agent market. And Jake Moody is very safely in that group of back half of the league kickers, and replacement level, he is replacement level. That's honestly the truth. Is anyone on the street going to be markedly better than Jake Moody? Maybe, maybe not, but they're not really going to be any worse.
No other position on this team would be given the amount of chances Jake Moody has done and failed to execute with. Not an offensive lineman, not a defensive lineman. Last year, San Francisco had Leonard Floyd, who was not great, but he's fine. He was average. Like he's a durable edge rusher you didn't mind having on your roster. They cut him. Obviously, there's money reasons involved, but the fact is they have given Jake Moody every opportunity to be good, and he's not been good. In fact, I think he is the worst kicker in football, and I'm sure you can find some guys like Matt Prater, you can go sign off the waiver wire or go sign off the street, that you could argue are better than him or have performed better than Jake Moody, albeit in a smaller sample size as replacements, but we know you can find kickers anywhere, the UFL, the CFL, soccer, FIFA, it doesn't matter. These guys come and go every single year. Every team, well, not every team, but a lot of teams each year are changing kickers out because they got to find the next guy, the right guy. And honestly, what's worse? Cutting Jake Moody, admitting your loss, and saying, you know what, we're going to hope the next guy's better. And if that guy isn't better, guess what? You're in the exact same place you were with Jake Moody.
Yeah.
Like, nothing changes if the next guy you sign sucks too. You still don't have a kicker. You don't even have one now. To a point where Kyle Shanahan, look, I love Kyle Shanahan. He lies. He lies sometimes to us during the media sessions.
Well, based on what he said about McCaffrey on Thursday, he made it sound like he didn't even have a calf.
And then today he goes, I didn't really talk to him. What do you mean you didn't talk to your running back that had a calf injury all last year and may not have played today because of a calf injury? I digress. To that extent, Kyle, fourth down, 4th and 3, 4th and 4. Had it been longer, I would have trotted Jake out there. And to his credit, he did later in the game because he had to. But there was a stretch in this game where the broadcasters were saying, you cannot put Jake Moody out there.
Yeah.
And Kyle Shanahan was not putting Jake Moody out there. Not because he didn't trust him, because Jake Moody sucks.
Yes.
He sucks.
Yes.
It should be over.
It should be, but it's not. It doesn't appear to be over anytime soon, although Shanahan did leave the door open to make a change. Maybe they surprise us and they do make a change. We shall see whenever that decision comes over.
Ride better be Kyle Shanahan's road to Damascus. Let some wild animal pull him aside and talk to him and say, wake up, Shanahan.
God.
Enough's enough.
I wouldn't bet on it, but we can hope. Of course, if anything happens, we'll let you know here at 95.7 The Game. We got about 10 more minutes with you here on Overtime. Let's go out to the phone lines one last time. Guru has been patient. Guru is waiting in San Jose. Take us home, Goo. How you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for taking my call. Like an up and down game. I'm glad we got the win, but lots of things to look at there. I think the first thing is obviously special teams. Like we expected special teams to be an improved unit this year, and somehow they looked worse than last year. I think you're only allowed to have one field goal blocked in a year. So the Niners have already reached their quota with respect to that. Looking at the offense, I think Brock Purdy and Ricky Pearsall have a real connection there, and that's a really good thing if you're a 49ers fan. Obviously, with Kittle and Jennings out with injuries, that's going to be even more important going forward. And even with Purdy, right? I thought he had an okay game. I don't think you can get away with making 2 interceptions in a game for every single game. But he bounced back and led that final drive. He deserves credit for that. But I think the biggest improvement this year from last year is the defense, both from a coaching schematic standpoint and the players running to the ball. I just felt a huge difference on defense this year. I think last year's defense gives up the touchdown in that last drive. I really, really do. And I think, this year's defense, they just look different. They're, like I said, they're running to the ball. They're creating turnovers, and they're just playing the right way. They're playing methodically, and apart from Upton Stout's mistake, there weren't really many mistakes made by the defense. So credit to them. But overall, I guess it's a good win. It's a division win. That's something that was hard to come by for the Niners last year, and just keep it going, right? And that's Thanks, guys.
Yeah, appreciate the call, Guru. This was the defense's day, Sterling. There's no doubt about it. The defense was so much better than I was expecting. Not that I think Seattle is going to be this world beater offense, and Sam Darnold is not a bad quarterback. He's not in the upper echelon of quarterbacks either. He's solid, and they have some quality pieces. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think, is going to this year is going to be the year that a lot of people around the league begin considering him as maybe a top 10 receiver in the game of football. I think that's how good he could potentially be. But this is not one of the top 5-10 offenses in the NFL. But still, even with that said, this defense was a whole lot better than I was expecting, at least week 1. I was expecting this might be a performance we get out of them come week 6, week 7, but we got it week number 1. I'm very, very encouraged on that side of the ball specifically.
The Niners defense today only allowed 14 first downs.
Wow.
14. Only 230 total yards. On the ground, only 84 rushing yards and 146 through the air. And look, there's context involved in that. Obviously, there's some penalties that went San Francisco's way and went Seattle's way too. And this game was still close despite the defense playing well. But I think for how bad the defense was last year, don't forget, this was one of the worst defenses in football last season, to a point of you knew as soon as they took the field, you were praying that the opposing team didn't score because you knew it'd be pretty easy to get that done against that defense last year. To give Robert Salah credit, I think would be an understatement. They were awesome today. The energy out there was awesome. they looked focused. They looked in control, even despite being either down by 3 points or 7 points, or despite the offense throwing a pick after a long, grueling drive they helped stall for Seattle. So that defense was on their game, and I think it goes to Chris Kocurek and the coaching staff and the leaders of that defense to keep those young guys focused and together. It was awesome. To the caller's point, though, I know we have hammered on Jake Moody today, and that's deserved. Jair Brown holding call on a punt, that can't happen. You didn't start. Why are you hurting us on punts now, dude? Like, come on. Saran Neal running out of bounds by himself on punts. Like, you can't do that. It's small stuff that the special teams today, early in this game, looked worse than it did last year. And that's saying something. This was by far the worst unit in football last season on special teams. And it did its best to cost us this game, or San Francisco this game, but they have a lot of mistakes to clean up, and I'm hoping they have that magic, marker to erase some of the mistakes. But special teams still an issue. Love Brant Boyer, but you got to get back to work on Monday and fix some of the things you got going on out there.
Yeah, not a great debut for Brant Boyer. Hopefully it is up from here, because it's hard to be worse than they were last year. Yet you're right, early on they somehow were worse than last year. Okay, a few minutes left. Sterling, we've made this our end of overtime tradition. Let's hand out game balls, offense and defense. Let's start with you on the offensive side of the football. Who gets a game ball from one Sterling Bennett?
How about Christian McCaffrey?
Yep.
We have missed the presence of the former Offensive Player of the Year. We have long wondered if he would ever come back and play for the San Francisco 49ers. We even got a scare as early as Thursday as to he won't play this Sunday, but this team needed him to step up in a big way. You lose Kittle, you lose Jawan Jennings. Although that wasn't the most successful day on the ground, I thought Christian McCaffrey was as impactful as he ever has been. Didn't score a touchdown, but was a crucial part of the offense, extending drives, getting in the red zone multiple times to unfortunately miss some field goals. But again, 9 receptions, 73 yards, 8 yards per catch, 22 carries, was the bell cow back, in which, again, you never thought you'd see it happen again for this team. So welcome back, Christian McCaffrey. Happy to have you out there, and hopefully you can stay healthy, because this team needs you, and what a re-debut for CMC in the red and gold again. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, today was his 96th career game. He surpassed 4,500 career receiving yards, making him the fastest running back to reach that mark since at least 1970. Also 142 yards from scrimmage, his 57th career game with 100 or more yards from scrimmage. Among active running backs, second most games with 100 or more yards from scrimmage. The other is Derrick Henry, 59 such games, on his way to number 60 tonight in Buffalo. But Christian McCaffrey now 57 100 or more yards from scrimmage games in his NFL career, second most among active running backs. So good pick there. I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to say the tight end unit, because Kittle had a big touchdown catch. Jake Tonjes had the biggest touchdown catch of the game, the biggest catch of the game, and 2 others on that drive. And Luke Farrell had a big catch on a 4th and short that converted and moved the stick. So the tight end group as a whole, but really the emphasis on the others, on Tonjes and on Farrell. Big catches in gigantic situations. Those 2 deserve a game ball, and they're going to split it maybe 3 ways. We can include Kittle in there, but those 2 deserve a shout-out. They get my offensive game ball, Sterling. Well, it's hard to talk against it, because George Kittle, first drive of the game, San Francisco marches all the way down the field, milks the clock over 8-minute drive, 14 plays, get a touchdown, and I think we all kind of said collectively of like, oh, this is how the game's going to go? Oh, okay. This is going to be an easy Sunday victory for San Francisco. Was not the case, as we can tell, but when George Kittle's out there, this offense moves so much more smoother, and I hope he can get back healthy soon. They need him, but good on Jake Tonjes, a guy that, again, a roster bubble guy. Was he a practice squad player, make the roster? I think there was a group of the fan base that was shocked he did make the final 53, but as you can tell, if you can be a good receiver, you can have an impact. He had a Ross Dwelly type performance today. Wasn't 2 touchdowns, but certainly saved the game in every manner for San Francisco on offense. Yeah. All right. What about defense? I'll go first on defense. I'm going to say D. Winters. D. Winters gets my defensive game ball. He was looking like Dre Greenlaw out there. 6 tackles, which was tied for second most on the team. I believe he led the team in tackles
That was Marquise Siegel who led the team in tackles at halftime, but D. Winters was all over the place, and he was very good. Fred Warner obviously is always going to be Fred, and Nick Bosa had big pressures. But if D. Winters steps into that other linebacker role and is anywhere near what Dre Greenlaw was, this defense will reach another level, and today was a big step in that direction. D. Winters, Sterling, gets my defensive game ball.
Yeah, you kind of already said my guy, Marquise Siegel. What a debut for the young, fifth-round safety out of Kansas State to make his Niners regular season debut. He led the team with 6 tackles, I believe, at halftime, or at least led the team at tackles at halftime. But the big play of the day, San Francisco coming off of getting a field goal blocked, where it felt like this is it. Okay, like this is not our day by any means. The Seahawks are moving the football downfield. They have the ball close to 50-yard line, and they're running the football. They find JSN for a big third down conversion, and you're saying this is the drive Seattle puts the game away. I know I certainly was out there like, honey, this game's over. Write it off. You're going to hear a lot of yelling and screaming on overtime tonight because it's not going to be a fun night. But Samuel Kawanu has a phenomenal play. Punches the ball out of, I believe it was Kenneth Walker's hands. Could be wrong there. May have been Charbonnet, but Siegel, having the wherewithal, recovers the fumble and sets up San Francisco to make a phenomenal drive to get a field goal, tie the game back up, I believe, and that was the difference in the game. So good on San Francisco, good on Marquise Siegel, a guy who we didn't know was going to start this game, but he looked pretty good out there in his debut.
Yeah, he did. Good pick. Sterling, I want to send us out on a high note. But I'm first going to do it by bringing up some bad history that you might not want to hear. Do you remember from 2012 to 2018, when the Niners lost 8 consecutive games in Seattle? 8 consecutive losses in Seattle. You remember that, right?
I've tried to erase it from my brain. That was the hell years, as I call him as a Niner fan. Lumen Field was and has been a black hole of despair for Niner fans. So, yes, a not kind 4-year stretch for the Niners.
They lost 8 consecutive in Seattle. One of those was, of course, the NFC Championship game. It spanned like 2 great eras of Niner football, the end of the Harbaugh era and the beginning of the Shanahan era. But I can tell you now with today's win, the 49ers have won their 4th consecutive game versus the Seahawks in Seattle, which marks their longest road winning streak in Seahawks series history. So how about that, Sterling? 4 consecutive wins for the Niners versus the Seahawks on the road. This used to be a house of horrors, not anymore.
I think this is also Brock Purdy's 4th consecutive win, I believe. The first one being his NFC West Division broken rib victory in 2022. Fast forward to now, beat him last year and obviously beat him today. So
those 4 are all Brock Purdy led. Yeah,
Brock Purdy, not afraid of the 12th man. Honestly, there wasn't even a 12th man today. The Niner fans had 53% of the field. Or stadium filled with red and gold. It was awesome to watch out there.
There were a lot of Niner fans there. There were a ton. Niners, of course, they always travel very well. All right, that'll do it for overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Sterling, it's been a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it for week number 2. Niners are in New Orleans. We have a 10 a.m. kick, which means we'll be on the air around 1 p.m. for overtime coming up in a week. Until then, Sterling, it's been awesome. I'll talk to you in a week.
Niners win, baby.
Let's
1-0.
go. 1-0.
Seahawks. Seahawks are 0-1. How does that feel?
Last place in the division. Everyone else is 1-0. Oh, there we go. Oh, we jumped the gun just a little early, but that's all right.
The cue.
We got to get out of here. Fox is telling us time to leave, Sterling and Granny. We will do that. For Sterling Bennett, for my guy Cam and Steven behind the glass, my name is Mark Granny signing off. Thanks so much for tuning in. Fox Sports Radio is coming up next. Plus, remember, you're not going to want to miss bright and early tomorrow morning, the morning roast, 6 to 10, then Steiny and Guru, 10 to 2, and Willard and Dibs from 2 to 6. Thanks so much for tuning in, and hell of a win for the Niners. We'll talk next time on Overtime on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, it's Willard and Dibs for Safeway. Enjoy these amazing deals for Safeway members. And as always, save up to 20% weekly on hundreds of exclusive offers with For You on the Safeway app. I hear you.